This young man was seen as a worthless person by everyone around him because he had failed continuously 99 times in competitions within the system after logging out of it. He could only let out a sigh, having lost 99 times already. If this continues, his original soul will only grow weaker. That night when Wang Zhong entered his soul sea, there was the clown Simba waiting for him. "Little Wang Zhong, you're really late today. Did something bad happen?" As soon as Simba finished speaking, Wang Zhong rushed over and pinched the clown's tomato-like nose hard, and this wasn't the first time. It went back to their first meeting when Wang Zhong was still a child. Simba had already been pinched hard on the nose by him back then. Even now, as he had grown up every time they met, the guy had to go through this uncomfortable feeling. You forgot my birthday. This is your punishment," Wang Zhong said arrogantly. Moreover, this speed could only be found here. As he said this, his voice began to falter. It didn't seem pleasant at all. Simba knew Wang Zhong was troubled about something, so he quickly replied, "You know that your spiritual power has decreased because of the soul stone parasitizing your soul sea. It's affected by the order of the real world outside." "That's right," Wang Zhong replied. "You know that, so you participated in the competitions to accumulate your original soul." He fully utilized Simba's miraculous weapon to break the balance, thereby raising his own spiritual power. His opponents were getting weaker and weaker, their souls no longer effective. They had lost their effectiveness completely. "But it's okay, clown. I have a way for my great destiny. It's time for Simba to show his talent." After finishing his words, Simba took out something he introduced as his super divine weapon, the Destiny Wheel. Simba wanted to open Wang Zhong's eyes to the immense power of destiny. If the needle pointed to the light cell, his spiritual power would double. But if it pointed to the dark cell, it meant his spiritual power would be halved. "Wait a minute. Isn't the original life force not full yet? Don't hold me back. I'm just now of age." "There's still time," Wang Zhong said anxiously. But Simba's actions didn't stop. He said he was very happy to come to this world and be a companion to Wang Zhong. "So consider this a birthday gift for your 18th birthday," he said as he finished. The needle had almost stopped at the black dark cell. Both Simba and Wang Zhong were shocked, but that clown of destiny wouldn't accept such a fate. He immediately jumped up and kicked the destiny wheel hard, making the needle run another beat before finally stopping at the light cell. Wang Zhong could feel his spiritual power. It doubled in an instant. However, to pay the price for this, Simba's body immediately reacted, transforming from a clown with a large physique into a broken toy. Wang Zhong rushed over to hug him, his tone filled with worry. "You bastard! I don't need a gift that's a dead person. Come back to me." Simba's voice was now extremely weak. "Buddy, this is the last thing I can do for you. I'm too tired now. We have to say goodbye here, buddy." Tears streamed down Wang Zhong's face uncontrollably. He couldn't understand why. Simba suddenly came up with a ridiculous idea to help him boost his spiritual power by sacrificing his own life like this. But just as Wang Zhong was in tears, Simba suddenly came to his senses and rushed over to pinch his nose, making Wang Zhong stop crying. Because he realized that it was just a cruel joke from the other party. "You wicked one, you pretended to make me cry for real." Simba laughed joyfully because he had gotten his revenge for the nose pinch earlier. "But Simba, are you really okay? How did you suddenly end up looking so small?" The king is still worried. Simba explained that he had to reluctantly control the fate wheel, so he has to face the consequences later on. "Maybe he can't help the king anymore, but now your spiritual power has become strong." Simba believes that from now on, even without him by your side, you can charge ahead, so make sure to rest well, you rascal. The king, though not happy about it, still had to hold back tears and say, "After all, Simba managed to keep his life after being so reckless. For you, that's already a blessing." The next day in class, Ma Dong slammed a registration form down on the king's desk. He looked incredibly smug, saying this was a birthday gift for his 18th. It turns out it's a club registration form, knowing that no club would need him, but he really wanted to join the training course. "So this good buddy of yours personally established a club for you. Isn't that brotherly?" Ma Dong threw his head back and laughed. The king felt like he was puffing himself up with pride. Although he didn't want to ruin Ma Dong's sense of accomplishment, the king still had to say directly, "But our club only has 2 members right now, and it seems that a group registration needs at least 5 people." Ma Dong's laughter immediately froze. After a moment of shock, he burst out laughing. Ha ha, how could someone as smart as me forget this? So our goal is to find the remaining 3 members during the recruitment period for the new club. Ma Dong is truly optimistic in adversity. Their club doesn't even have 5 members yet. He's happily declaring he'll take the position of president. The club will have the king as the vice president, hoping he will use his genius mind to train future members of the group so those who once called him a weirdo or a loser will gradually have to keep quiet. The king felt a bit touched that Ma Dong was really thinking so much about his trivial matters. He truly is another kind of weirdo. So a thought crossed the king's mind. He suggested to Ma Dong to name their club the Weirdos, just to face those who bullied them. The king thought such a bizarre name would actually please Ma Dong. He was so excited that he immediately wanted to go find new members. And so the 2 of them went to the new member recruitment hall, which was bustling with activity. There were quite a few new students looking confused due to the crowd. Among them was Baron Gosta, a new student from Diner Quaker City who still hadn't joined any club. Catching sight of this kid's clueless expression, Ma Dong immediately lured him into their club with the enticing offer that the Weirdos is the Paradise Club for the elite. After that, Ma Dong even pulled out the king's report card because he was the top student in the theoretical assessment of the command system, and the command system is the paradise for the strong. The Frozen One even took the report card of Vung Trong lightly because you are the top of the theoretical system command, and the command system is the paradise of the strong. Baron looked at that full score sheet, his eyes wide with disbelief. Little did he know that Vung Trong was only good in theory. "Senior, can you really join the club?" Baron asked with doubt, feeling like it was too good to be true. How could he possibly join such an elite club? Ma Dong nodded, even planning to take Baron to meet Vung Trong. But just then, the crowd erupted into a buzz like a hive of bees because a girl had appeared. She was the genius commander of the academy and also the principal's niece. At the same time, she was the new president of the Black Rose Club, the top club among the 4 clubs at Scarlet Academy. Scarlet was accompanied by another girl named Milami. Seeing the 2 of them, they headed straight for the registration desk of the Oddballs Club. Ma Dong panicked and ran over, leaving Baron behind. "Senior Milami, I'm Ma Dong, president of the Oddballs Club." He panted as he spoke. "This is the hall where official members of the club are recruited. Your club hasn't even been approved by the student council yet. And today, you dare to recruit new members here. This is a disciplinary violation. This booth must be dismantled immediately," Milami said firmly. It wasn't for nothing that Ma Dong called this girl an old hag. Just look at her uptight demeanor. She hardly resembled a young student. He was still trying to haggle with Milami a bit when suddenly a different female voice rang out from the crowd. "Hey, where are the members of the Oddballs Club? This lady wants to join the group." Ma Dong hadn't seen this person yet, but just hearing her voice, he recognized her. It was Emily, his cousin, with a spirit growth index of 9.2. This girl was also the heir of the assassin clan. Not to mention, Emily also possessed a formidable fire ability. However, as soon as she appeared, Emily completely ignored her cousin and rushed straight to Vung Trong. She wrapped her arms around his left arm. "Hey, Vung Trong, long time no see. Do you still remember me, Emily?" Ignoring Ma Dong, she asked, "Is your Oddballs Club still recruiting new members?" Her excessive enthusiasm made Vung Trong feel a bit tense. After learning that they were still recruiting new members, Emily stood in front of the crowd. She boldly declared her desire to join this club. Milami saw this and stepped forward, wanting to compete for Emily as a member. "Our Black Rose Club is the best in the academy. You are the most promising candidate we especially want to recruit this year. If you join us, you will progress a lot and make friends with many talented people." Of course, Milami didn't forget to stomp on Vung Trong and Ma Dong's club, saying that they were not accepted by the student council, so the Oddballs Club could disband at any moment. Any time. It's just a pity that Emmeline has been stubborn since she was little. She only believes in her own decisions. So, in front of the crowd, she once again declared that she has no interest in black roses. And she's still determined to join the Oddballs. But Emily's somewhat arrogant demeanor really annoys Milami. However, this time, before she could respond, Scarlet spoke up first. And what's noteworthy is, she spoke up to invite Vung Trong to join her club, citing the excellent essay he wrote about applying combat skills and theorizing about the life of runes. Scarlett's words left everyone present in shock, unsure if she was genuinely inviting him to join the group or just trying to use Vung Trong to pull Emily along with her. But the fact that Vung Trong was invited to join the Black Rose Club was something no one had ever imagined. The uproar that followed was predictable. Of course, Vung Trong wouldn't abandon the friend who had established a club for him, so he had to decline Scarlett's offer. That morning came to an end. They all went out for drinks to welcome the two new members of the Oddballs, which were Emmeline and Baron. Don't get too cocky, Em. Joining the group is entirely out of respect for Vung Trong. After clinking glasses, Emmeline still arrogantly remarked, showing no regard for her cousin at all. Then they brought up Scarlett something even Ma Dong didn't expect. The move. She would invite you to join the Black Rose Club, and you even declined in front of everyone. That's just incredibly badass. Haha, I still prefer my freedom. A big club like that doesn't really suit me, Vung Trong politely replied. Plus, Emmy and Baron will need your guidance from now on. Emily and Baron are both new students full of energy. Today they got to witness such interesting scenes. In the member recruitment hall, they idolized Vung Trong even more. The atmosphere among the four was very relaxed until they were full and satisfied. Baron and Emily left first. Vung Trong wanted to go to the library to read for a bit, so Ma Dong left right after. Today he wanted to test his strength after Simba risked his life to enhance his spiritual power, so Vung Trong went to the library alone. He settled into the pod like usual, confirming his ID as a powerful warrior. Once the system verified his account, it transported Vung Trong to a random setting, which was an arena, but it didn't provide him with any weapons. Since he was unarmed, Vung Trong felt a bit anxious. His opponent appeared quickly identified as a potential marksman, and his weapon was a real six-shooter. As soon as he appeared, the opponent fired several shots, yet Vung Trong managed to dodge them smoothly. He was even amazed by his own speed and reaction time, let alone the opponent's. Indeed, Simba had accomplished the unimaginable by enhancing Vung Trong's strength to this level. With that, he had to work even harder to not let that guy down. The potential marksman continued to fire, and all three shots were aimed very accurately. They were almost fired simultaneously. However, Vung Trong's reflexes were even more impressive. As all three bullets came rushing toward him, his body twisted like a snake. He successfully dodged all three shots. The audience of the match couldn't stop gasping in awe. Was this really just a powerful warrior who had lost 99 consecutive battles that they knew of? What about that other guy? His ID clearly indicated he was a potential marksman, yet he didn't hit a single shot. And so it went on. And just like that, he has become the new target of mockery because he couldn't handle the criticism. The opponent threw the gun from his hands to the ground and charged at Wang Zhong like a tiger. But just as it happened, this was the reaction that Wang Zhong wanted. Because this time the system gave him bare hands as weapons, and the opponent wanted to use his fists to fight. This was actually very beneficial for him. So when the potential shooter rushed forward, Wang Zhong timed it perfectly and then delivered a single blow with his right hand. Just one single strike and the opponent fell backward. He was knocked out. And finally, after many struggles, ID's only powerful king has claimed victory. The person who was just defeated by Wang Zhong was a student from the Cabofin Academy. At this moment, he was furious as he stepped out of the capsule, and he was mocked by other students. This made him even more annoyed, although he was just practicing shooting. But the feeling of being defeated by someone who had lost 99 times in a row was truly unpleasant, especially when he had previously fought without needing to use a gun talisman, only to end up defeated by someone whose ability index was below 50. Just using that level of soul power, he could defeat the physical strength of a mad warrior who was only a powerful king. Had he really lost 99 times in a row before? Truly an interesting guy. The atmosphere in the room, which was already tense, was interrupted by another female voice. The potential shooter and the male student were about to clash. Hearing that voice, they both stopped, and they all referred to this female student as Captain Lola. It seemed Lola was quite interested in Wang Zhong after just one match with the potential shooter. The next day, Ma Dong and Wang Zhong returned to the auditorium for new member recruitment. But today, things weren't going as smoothly as yesterday. Clearly, Emily had joined their club. Yet they couldn't attract any more people to join. If they couldn't find enough 5 members, Ma Dong was afraid that the old lady would come to cause trouble again. To disband their group, While he was worried about where to find the fifth person, someone came up and asked, "You're Madong from the Club of the Weirdos, right?" "I'm Liu Qiantian, the vice president of the Holy Talent Club. Please let Emily join our club. In exchange for the 2 members your group is missing, we will supplement." Hearing this, Ma Dong felt irritated. He wasn't afraid to provoke Liu Qiantian, who claimed that his club was the 2nd largest in the academy. They had to come here to compete for members, but Emily had even declined to join the Black Rose Club, so the Holy Talent Club had no chance. Liu Qiantian was indeed furious after hearing this. The guy accompanying him eagerly chimed in to intimidate Ma Dong. "Ma Dong, do you dare to look down on us? Don't think you can refuse us. If you dare to reject us this time relying on the influence of the Holy Talent Club, you think you can find your 5th member." However, just as he finished speaking, a new student walked past and went straight to Wang Zhong, who was sitting at the registration desk to say he wanted to join the club. This action was like a slap in the face to the guy who had just threatened that with the influence of the Holy Talent Club, Ma Dong's club couldn't find a 5th member. So that shameless guy decided to vent his anger on the new student. However, when his hand was just placed on the opponent's shoulder, it was caught and reversed. Then the kid didn't hold back and used a bit of strength to throw this guy into the pile of trash. Sorry about that. After that, he spoke in a tone as if he had just done something casual. "I didn't mean to at all." Once he finished, he spoke as if nothing had happened. "I didn't mean to at all." The 6th Heavens champion is the vice president of the club. Seeing someone touch the holy talent, of course, he couldn't just stand there. He finally got a good look at the face of the new student. He introduced himself as Christy Bingley from Sammy Offer City, a new student in the 6th Heavens Command Department. He originally intended to throw a punch, but after seeing Bingley, he hesitated. It wasn't because he was too handsome, but because Bingley was a new character equally as notable as Emily. After all, he was the top freshman in both the written and practical exams with a soul power index upon entering the school that made the 6th Heavens champion furious. Gradually, his anger turned into confusion. He seriously asked Bingley if he really wanted to join this trash club. Faced with that question, Bingley confidently replied, "I'm sorry I didn't choose randomly. I came here because I admire Senior Wang Zhong." Wang Zhong felt a bit shy when he heard his name mentioned, especially since the other person was so outstanding. And the two had only just met for the first time. For the senior, it was indeed their first meeting, but in reality, he had admired him for a long time. Bingley, with a face that looked like an angel, declared. This scene made the female students unable to resist gathering around. Until this moment. A junior from the 6th Heavens champion crawled out of the trash, looking disheveled and miserable, which truly embarrassed him. The 6th Heavens champion knew he was here today. Pulling away was no use anymore. Ben was preparing to leave. But before he left, he didn't forget to leave a warning for Wang Zhong. "You're Wang Zhong, right? Remember today's grudge." Wang Zhong didn't respond while Ma Dong almost jumped up because he couldn't stand the words of these lowlifes. However, the most important thing now was to welcome the new member Bingley, whose appearance had resolved their risk of dissolution. The club now had enough members. As for Bingley, he was very polite to Ma Dong, but clearly from start to finish, this young man's attention was solely on Wang Zhong. Then, although it was a bit abrupt, Bingley actively suggested a spar with him. A fan of Ma Dong felt awkward upon hearing this. He quickly spoke up to defend his friend. No, really. Wang Zhong was indeed very smart, but his fighting ability was just average. Was it because he had seen the results of his written exam that he thought so Wang Zhong knew Ma Dong was trying to decline for him, but this time, before he could finish his sentence, Bingley interrupted him. "It's fine, Ma Dong. If this junior has such intentions, then I'm certainly willing." Upon receiving Wang Zhong's agreement, Bingley immediately broke into a bright smile, thanking him repeatedly. As for Wang Zhong, the reason he confidently agreed to spar was likely something everyone already knew. Wang Zhong was no longer the useless guy who was only good at theory, as everyone used to think. Transitioning to the gym, the counting echoed 4,995, 4,996. A figure with beads of sweat dripping onto the floor. 4,997. Wang Zhong kept counting. 4,998. Bingley laughed. "Senior, you're truly amazing. Back when I came to Tianjing Academy, I really didn't misjudge you. It's rare for someone to persist in such intense physical training." He picked up a water bottle and leaned against the wall. In an environment where the training was 5 times heavier, he could still perform so skillfully. It truly made others admire him. Transitioning to the gym, the counting echoed 4,995, 4,996. A body glistening with sweat dripped down to the floor. 4,997 Vung Trong kept counting. 4,998. Bin Lee laughed loudly. "Senior, you're really impressive. Back when I first came to Tianjing Academy, I truly didn't misjudge you. It's rare for someone to persist in physical training like this." He picked up a water bottle and leaned against the wall. In a situation where the training was 5 times heavier, you could still perform so skillfully. It's really something to admire. With a hand pressed down, he sprang up, panting heavily. Vung Trong replied, "Well, my soul power index is just at a very normal level, unlike you and Emmy. With such high innate talent, I can only rely on physical training to make up for it." He turned around saying, "I want to hit the gym to continue training a bit. I don't want to waste this feeling while working out. We'll talk more about the issues related to soul science later. I've decided to enroll here." The main reason is because of the soul science program at Thin Kin, right? Minli agreed. "Yes, so I'll take a break for a bit." He raised his hand to wave goodbye. "Take care." Senior Vung, a smiling face, remarked, "It seems joining the club of eccentrics was a good decision. Senior Vung truly doesn't disappoint." A voice from the other side chimed in. "I thought they were competing against each other. Turns out they just came to the gym to do push-ups." Baron exclaimed, "Wow, that's impressive." Madung, sitting with his legs crossed, casually said, "What good is having good stamina anyway? In this world, you can only rely on soul power and longevity. Striving to train soul power to become a soul is the right path." He heard this and shouted angrily. But just now, that was 5 times the gravity of the gym. Ordinary people can hardly do that. "Senior Vung is my idol," he sighed. "All right. If you want to be a fan of Vung Trong, go ahead. Speaking of Emily, I said I would introduce you guys to Bin Lee," Baron replied. Emily seems to have been called by the academy director to talk. Madung heard and remarked, "Oh, then we can't disturb her. After all, we'll meet her eventually." On the screen, messages popped up. Vung Jahuin is online again. "Want to maintain your form and win another match, huh? This time, I wonder if there will be any new recruits." Here's the announcement. Random weapon duel bet 5 cents is a master. Random location arena, Bao Tu Duan. Where do we find another master? What if it's a nobody? A figure appeared. The random opponent entered the arena. Vung Trong was a bit surprised to see a girl, Emily, from the Academy of Soul. Number of matches bulletproof. Born in the city of Mungo. Heir of the main assassin family specializing in armored combat. And oh my god, she also has the fire ability. Vung Zaka is probably going to get roasted. He chuckled to himself. That little girl who loved ice cream has now become a warrior with such a bold stance. Seeing this, Emily asked, "What are you laughing at? Are you looking down on me?" "Boss, the girl swung her hand, her gaze resolute. "I will fight with all my might." With that, Emily charged forward shouting, "Bring it on!" Her eyes were fixed on the path to becoming an assassin. Remembering when the master asked her, "Although you have the fire ability, it's not good for long distances. I will help you create a type of rune cannon according to your abilities." How can the master speak? Your grandfather once did me a favor. I will definitely help you create a weapon that suits you best. Emily replied, "Thank you, Master Molly. But as a descendant of the assassin lineage, I still want to challenge myself on the path to becoming a killer." Molly extended her hand. "Well then, Emmy, why don't you try fighting in the arena? Let's see. I'll come to observe your fight to see how far you can go on the path to becoming an assassin. Moreover, I can decide what kind of weapon to create for you." Remembering this, the girl became even more determined. "I will not give up." She swung her sword straight at Wang Zhong. "This is my agreement with you, Wang Zhong." But quickly his dagger blocked her sword. Emily growled, "How annoying!" She pulled back her sword and charged forward, shouting loudly. Wang Zhong swung his dagger, showcasing his skill. Emily was knocked back by the force of the attack. The whispers arose. Isn't he the undefeated champion? Just a powerful lord. Isn't he some kind of master? He coldly remarked, "Well done over there." Molly was watching the match and said, "This is quite interesting, Emmy. The girl thought to herself, this person's skills must be more than just a shield. Emily's face was serious. Looks like I have to use that move. The two fighters faced off. Emily turned to Wang Zhong. Looks like I have to use that move. In the VIP viewing room, chatter erupted. The Lord has activated the auto mode. I can clearly see that little sister has special abilities. But still useless, that's why it's like this. The girl closed her eyes. Having special abilities doesn't mean being invincible. Then she opened her eyes wide. I need to see how to use it. Emily raised her hand and shouted, let's keep fighting. He was a bit surprised and exclaimed, what is this? Molly stroked her beard, silently observing. The girl jumped up, unleashing a sword full of killing intent. Total annihilation technique. Powerful energy surged around her. Emily rushed in, launching a series of attacks. A fiery pen opened wide, and the force filled the space. The girl swung her hand. Fire sword technique. A flame erupted, and everyone watching quickly realized the outcome was clear. There was no doubt about it. The assassin clan's explosion made the ground tremble. It created deep grooves in the earth, with white smoke billowing up. Molly was momentarily astonished. No, this is... Everyone's emotions suddenly paused for a moment. It turned out the tip of the dagger was now pressed against Emily's neck. She was immediately restrained by Wang Zhong, and a loud shout rang out. Only the powerful Lord wins! Emily looked at the sharp, glinting dagger. She truly couldn't believe it. She wondered to herself, how could I lose? Then he also sheathed his dagger, looking down. You really are impressive, but this time you just chose the wrong weapon. Wang Zhong quickly assessed. If you had used the dagger and then vanished, perhaps the one who would lose would be me. Leaving the girl alone on the battlefield, cheers erupted. Incredible, and daring to lecture the heir of the assassin clan on what weapon to use, truly a lord. Has he really been defeated in a row 99 times? Emily softly called out, only the powerful lord. Molly praised, Emmy performed very well. Looks like we need to prepare a weapon for the little assassin. But that guy, the powerful lord. But that guy, the so-called strong king. After everything was settled, Vuong returned to the machine, gripping the skills he never had the chance to use before. Now he was putting them all to work. Then the scene shifted to the dormitory. You held up your card to scan and opened the door. Right in front of you were cans of Heineken scattered everywhere. Confused Vuong asked about the beer cans. Why are they in the room today? But suddenly a gentle voice called out. Vuongka Emily is sitting cross-legged on the bed. She casually wore a shirt. The girl's cheeks were flushed from being tipsy as she spoke hazily. Is it you, Vuongka? Emily asked, memories flooding back of when she was crying. A figure approached from behind and asked, Emmy, why are you sitting here crying all alone? Did Ma Dong bully you? The girl sobbed. Brother Vuong, adults say I shouldn't become an assassin. Otherwise, I'm wasting my innate skills, the fire flame talent. But, Vuong chuckled softly, Emmy, is that what's making you sad? He sat down to comfort her. During the spirit power test, you scored really high, 9.3, but I only got 3 points. Emily calmed down and asked, Vuongka, how come your score is so low? You're not going to give up, are you? Vuong laughed heartily. Sometimes a little, but I'm still determined to learn many other things. Theory is good, and physical training isn't bad either. He raised his hand. So what matters isn't what others say, but what we want to do. Emmy, let's make a pinky promise. Vuong smiled gently. His words moved her deeply. From then on, she expressed that no matter what others said, she would stick to her path of becoming an assassin. But we lost the first match. Emily, with tears in her eyes, sobbed. Am I really not cut out to be an assassin? A hand rested on her head as Vuong stepped forward to deny it. No way. Everyone knows your abilities. The Fire Dance Lotus is your path. You have to believe in yourself and keep going. Emily softly called out, Vuongka. She cried out loudly and hugged him tightly, but I really can't accept it. After a while, Emily finally lay down and fell asleep. Vuong chuckled softly, Emmy, you failed. Today I believe it will be the motivation for you to become stronger, but the one who loses like me has to sleep on the sofa. Time shifted to the second day. In the library, a girl approached and spoke, Classmate Vuong, you're really studying. I've been looking for you for a long time. You greeted her, Hello, Scarlet. She replied, Hi, I have something I want to give you. Behind her, whispers arose, Hey, isn't that a black rose? Who's that kid? She placed something on the table. Please accept this. Vuong, puzzled, asked, "What is this?" "Here's an invitation," she said, presenting a letter. "I'm organizing a party and hope all members of the Oddballs Club can attend." You picked up the letter thanking her for the kind invitation. "I'll tell the others." She turned around, waved, and walked away. "I won't disturb your studies anymore. See you at the party, classmate Vuong." Vuong waved back. "See you later." At that moment, a figure hiding behind the bookshelf quietly slipped away. Ma Dong quickly appeared, calling out loudly, "Hey, Vuong!" You stood up and asked, "What is it, Ma Dong? You know you have to keep quiet in the library, right?" He cheerfully boasted, "Our club has been approved and has become an official club now." Vuong asked back, "Really?" Vuong Chung asked again, "Really?" "That's great," Ma Dong replied. Milano's attitude might be a bit off, but at least he's fair in his work. He looked at the letter on the table and asked, "What's this letter?" You replied, "It's an invitation to Scarlet's party." Ma Dong threw his arm over Vuong Chung's shoulder and smirked. "You're quite the charmer, huh? I didn't expect a campus beauty to personally invite you to a party." You expressed your dissatisfaction. "Don't say that it's an invitation for our whole group, not just me." Ma Dong's gaze was full of cunning. "An invitation for our whole group, but it wasn't sent to the captain, which is me. You must be feeling pretty proud, huh?" He pulled Vuong Chung along, saying they should go buy a gift. "What's the most expensive one?" You whispered, "I already said to keep it down in the library." From the other side, a voice responded, "I got it. We'll arrange it and attend on time." "Okay," said your classmate River. "Someone's looking for me, so I'll hang up now," classmate Scarlet on the other end replied. Scarlet agreed. "All right, see you then." "All right," Scarlet agrees. "I'll see you then." A loud knock echoed. He returned to his normal state. "Who's there? Come in." Then Ha opened the door and stormed in angrily. "Big brother, I saw Scarlet in the library personally handing an invitation to Vuong Trong from the Club of Eccentrics." "A trashy club like that." River chuckled. "If they invite us, it's just a casual notice, but they act so formally over there." He was full of schemes. "Vuong Trong from the Club of Eccentrics, huh? Seems like they want to get acquainted." Soon night fell and the party began. Everyone had gathered. Ma Dong and the others were dressed very elegantly. He stuffed his hands into his pockets, reminding everyone to be polite and courteous when entering. "Don't let others look down on our club." Emily chuckled softly. "Ma Dong, you're really annoying." "You should take care of yourself first," Vuong Trong said. "Right, Baron." He twirled his two fingers together, promising, "Senior, I definitely won't let our club lose face." Ma Dong suddenly remembered, "Where's Bin Lee?" He said he wanted to look around a bit and has already gone outside. A voice called out, "Good evening!" Milano reached out to the members of the eccentric club. He blushed slightly. "Sister Milano, I'm sorry for my earlier disrespect. I really appreciate your help for our club." She replied shyly, "It's okay. I wasn't good with words back then, and I offended you, sister, but you still helped our club so much. I'm really sorry." She replied shyly, "It's okay. This is also your sister's job." He winked and asked, "If you've accepted my apology, can you dance with me later?" Milano asked in surprise, "Why are you so helpless? Is Ma Dong causing trouble again?" She continued, "Let's go inside first." River asked from behind, "Are these people really members of the club, the Oddballs? They don't seem that impressive, do they?" The atmosphere at the grand party was incredibly lively and noisy. A voice rang out, "Next, please welcome the organizer of this party." Miss Scarlet descended gracefully from the top of the stairs. Everyone's eyes were on her, including Vuong Chong's, while Emily looked on in awe. Scarlet, in a shimmering purple dress, introduced herself. "Hi everyone, I'm Scarlet Patty. This is not only to welcome my new friends, but also to announce some specific rules for the Gray City Dragon Training Camp, this season's dragon competition." The students were very interested. "Those participating in the training camp will receive many preferential policies," Scarlet expressed. "The Black Rose is the top club in the school. It will also be one of the few clubs given special consideration to be included in the training list. Now I want to invite an outstanding student to join the training camp." Her voice rang out clearly. "I invite Vuong Trong from the Oddballs Club." He asked in confusion, "Why me?" People began to murmur, "Vuong Trong the Oddballs. What a strange name." She placed her hand on her chest, showing her sincerity. "You've been a top student since you enrolled. I believe in your participation." You can definitely do it. Suddenly a voice rang out. That's hard to say. The person said loudly, a guy at the bottom of the command system is about to be kicked out, and he wants to join Scarlet's training camp. Senior sister, right? The battle leader pointed decisively, opposing the inclusion of such a person. Joining would be a disgrace to everyone. Ma Dong shouted angrily. What the hell are you saying? At this moment, battle leader River spoke up. I have some opinions on this matter too. He walked in. Sorry, I'm the president of the Saint Talent Club, honored to meet Vice President Vung. What I want to say is, although the vice president, the eccentric Vung, always tops the theoretical exams, the battle requires real fighting. River gestured toward the number of people in the training camp. Shouldn't it be that real fighters contribute to their team? Wouldn't that be better? Scarlet spoke up. President River has said that your position, Vice President Vung, is due to our Black Rose. Vung replied coldly. If this is the thought of the Saint Talent Club, or the majority of people I want to bet with River, what kind of fan are you? Everyone was shocked, exclaiming, oh my God, you want to bet with River? You set the rules, and we in the Saint Talent Club will play 5 matches. Whichever side wins 3 matches will be considered the winner. If we win, we want the Saint Talent Club to withdraw 4 positions from the training camp. If we lose, we will disband the club. We won't establish or join any club again, so are you daring to play or not? Battle leader was momentarily stunned. She also called out to Vice President Vung. He widened his eyes. You're going too big. River crossed his arms and said, interesting. I'll play with Vice President Vung. This match is set for 3 days later on the weekend. Vung's gaze was sharp as he declared, no meeting, no return. He also praised, good job. In the training room, shouts echoed as Baron was being slammed against the wall. He crouched down, looking exhausted. Ma Dong scratched his head. Isn't he being hit too hard? He looked at Baron and asked Vung, isn't it effective to let Baron hit the wall every day? Vung replied, Baron has great potential. This is actually to help him accumulate experience. He will definitely unleash it later, don't worry. A voice rang from the door. Senior, I'm back. Bin Lee chuckled. I heard about the situation with the Saint Talent Club. I wasn't there at that time. I'm really sorry. He placed his hands on his hips, affirming, it's okay. But we only have 5 people. You also have to fight. Bin Lee agreed. No problem. It's all according to the senior's arrangement. Vung praised. It's not good. With you, the chances of winning will be very high. Ma Dong was dumbfounded. Really? But I'm still not at ease. Suddenly, a voice interrupted. Ma Dong said some negative things. Aren't you? Emily, feeling a bit annoyed, asked, aren't you worried about training well here and causing harm? What do you want? She changed her tone, saying loudly, Emmy can only hope now that it's just me. Master Mori's weapon, have you finished it yet? The girl shook her head. No, I told the master that I don't need it for now. Ma Dong asked, why not? Because using such powerful weapons now will limit your own development. You chuckled softly. Good job, Emmy. A hand tightly grasped your shoulder. You dragged him along. So Ma Dong, for a solid foundation, hurry up and do some push-ups. He's crying like a baby. No way. Wang Trong scratched his face and laughed loudly. As soon as Ma Dong left, it got quiet again. You turned to ask, hey, Bin Lee, do you want to practice with me? Bin Lee replied, if Senior Vuong wants, it's a rare opportunity. You said that while calling out, classmate Vuong Trong. Vuong Trong turned to you, Scarlet. Scarlet walked over and asked, are you free now? Bin Lee saw that and turned to the senior. You two go ahead and talk. I just need to handle a few things. You said goodbye. See you next time. She smiled gently. I'm so sorry, Bin Lee. After that, the door closed. Scarlet called out to classmate Vuong Trong. She expressed a bit of worry. Should we reconsider the extreme match? After all, the Club of Eccentrics relies on your strength. It was hard to establish. If necessary, I can meet River to discuss if a reconciliation is possible. You heard that and felt a bit confused, asking Scarlet, we weren't that close before. Why do you want to invite me to join the Black Rose? This time you even recommended me to the training camp. Scarlet shyly replied, well, actually I read your thesis back in the first year. I found it full of creative ideas, but still highly practical. She remembered the day at the library when she commented, let's say because your power isn't high, but I feel that with your intellect, you can lead the team to victory. Vuongtrong asked. If that's the case, then even a small obstacle like the Holy Talent decision, you can't overcome it. Then how can you lead the team to victory in the Dragon War? So Scarlet, you clenched your fist with confidence. You should believe in me. Vuongtrong's gaze shifted and he remembered everyone in the group proudly. I also have great faith in my teammates. This time, the Club of Eccentrics will definitely win. In the break room, a commanding voice rang out, Everyone, this time we must make those eccentrics taste bitterness. Of course, everyone won't suffer losses. This is the promise of the club president. River looked over at his team and laughed. 3 days later at the arena, the stands were packed with people and the noise of chatter and laughter filled the air. Who would have thought the Club of Eccentrics would challenge the Holy Talent decision? I wonder how they'll die this time. The cheers erupted as the Eccentrics team entered the arena. The group of Barry, Emily, Ma Dong, Vuongtrong, and Binli stepped out. Milano called out to Ma Dong, worried, Is everyone from the Eccentrics ready? Is there really no problem? Ma Dong saw this and his eyes lit up. Sister Milano, classmate Scarlet, I didn't expect you two to come too. He promised Patty last time it got ruined by the Holy Talent decision. Wait until the match ends. May I invite my senior sister to a meal? At that moment, everyone suddenly buzzed with discussion as a figure stepped out with a loud cheer. Members of the Holy Talent decision are out too. The first member to step out stood on the stage. Gasps filled the air. It turned out to be Kelly, the #1 assassin of the Academy. Let me handle this match, big brother Vuongtrong. Excuse me, may I invite my senior to dinner? At that moment, everyone started chattering. A figure stepped forward with a loud cheer. The member of the Holy Talent Squad is here! The first member to step onto the stage was met with gasps. It turned out to be Kelly, the #1 assassin of the Academy. I'll go call Vuongtrong. This match is on me. Vuongtrong agreed to pay careful attention. The girl heard the answer and laughed loudly. I'm coming up here! Emily jumped up with confidence, speaking to Senior Kelly. I'm the new student Emmy. Please guide me, Kelly said, coldly praising the brave little girl. No wonder she's the heir of the assassin clan. Ma Dong anxiously bit his nails. Are you okay? In the end, it's still just using the sword formation. Don't worry, Vuongtrong will reassure you. I'm saying this is something that can surpass the fire dance lotus, which only a powerful king has hinted at for me, he exclaimed, turning to ask, Really? The legs jumped up, and the guy was momentarily surprised. Both rushed to fight each other. The girl continuously unleashed her combat skills. Kelly smiled lightly. Your basic skills are very solid, little junior sister. Emily replied, Thank you, senior, for the compliment. Ma Dong shouted loudly, MI is really impressive. It seems the chance of winning is very high. He assessed. I'm not so sure, though. The opponent is the #1 assassin of the Scarlet Academy. Kelly the senior could stand out because he had a unique skill that both sides had. The guy coldly said, It's useless now. Kelly bent down and prepared for the next attack. We have to use our true abilities. Little sister, be careful. His eyes shone fiercely with deadly combat skills. Then he jumped and split into clones, rushing into the 4 Hell Assassin formation. Ma Dong panicked and grabbed Baron's arm, urging Emmy to quickly use the Fire Dance Lotus. Emily replied, No need. As the 4 rushed quickly toward the girl, Emily's eyes glinted with daggers. She was crossing her blades, dodging Kelly's attack. He turned back and smiled slightly. No wonder you're from an assassin clan. But it will end here. Now the girl was covered in scratches, blood splattering. Emily sat down on her hands, and Scarlet anxiously asked, Emily, something's not right, is it? Vuongtrong spoke up. Although Kelly is stronger than Emmy in many aspects in terms of agility, Emmy surpasses him. He looked at the girl's determined eyes. You can trust her, Kelly asked confidently. Why? Or should you just surrender quickly? If you don't want to get hurt, Emily said. Thank you, senior, for being merciful, but I still want to give it a try. He chuckled softly. Really? Instantly the 4 clones rushed in. All right then. In the 4 Hell Assassin formation, the girl also jumped up vigorously. Kelly was momentarily shocked. Immediately, the dagger was pressed against his neck, quickly controlled by Emily as he launched his attack. At that moment, he was completely unguarded. The girl chuckled softly at the assassin. Using the same move again is a big taboo senior. The referee announced, I concede. Ma Dong joyfully shouted, "Great little sister, long live you won." Vung Trong silently praised, "Well done you." He also sighed, "You're really good. It won't be long before you surpass me. At that time, let's continue to sharpen our skills." The girl agreed, "Sure. Thank you, Senior, for your guidance." Chinthian angrily growled, "Damn it, that guy Kelly actually lost." He ordered, "Terrence, deal with them." Milano lightly adjusted his glasses. "That's the guy with the codename Black Bear." Scarlet asked Vuong Trong, "Do you guys have a plan yet?" He called softly, "Baron." Vuong Trong proudly said, "This match depends on you." He pointed at himself and stammered, "Can I not?" "I'll definitely try my best." Meanwhile, Emily cried out in pain, her eyes brimming with tears. "Thank you, Vuong Trong. After the bandaging, I feel much better now." Ma Dong smiled brightly. "Come on, let Big Brother blow on it. It won't hurt anymore." Emily looked confused. "Ma Dong, where did you go?" Vuong Trong reminded, "It's about to start." Baron and Terrence had entered the arena. This was a match between Baron from the Oddballs and his opponent, the Black Bear Terrence. Baron looked extremely worried, his face tense. The guy crossed his arms arrogantly. "Kid, are you the newbie? I'll give you a small favor." Terrence asked, "I won't fight back, so you can attack me once. How about that?" He turned back to Vuong, giving him a subtle sign of pride for Baron. "Looking like that." Baron turned back, his face instantly filled with fighting spirit. He rushed forward and shouted, "I'm coming!" The guy was momentarily surprised as a cloud of dust rose from the impact. Everyone watched intently, and in the end, Baron leaned against the wall as the shout rang out, "Terrence wins!" He was now hit and felt dazed. Laughter erupted. "That was so fast." "It's so wee. All this is." The biggest guy in the Oddballs fell like that. Madong shouted, "Baron, are you okay?" Chintin was so happy he could cry. Terrence can make his body as hard as iron and still charge straight at him. He's just asking for trouble. He praised, "Well done, Terrence." Terrence walked past, ignoring Chinthin's words. "The captain will reward you." Meanwhile, he thought to himself, "My legs are still shaking." His legs trembled. This kid is really a newbie, so he doesn't understand anything. He worriedly asked, "Baron, are you hurt anywhere?" Baron just felt a bit dizzy. He looked up and said, "Sorry, Senior Vuong, I didn't win." Feeling embarrassed, Vuong reassured him, "It's okay. This is also part of the process. It's necessary to gain experience." Ma Dong was confused, tangled up in thoughts. "Vuong and I are both leaders. We will definitely rise after this third match." Binli agreed. "We'll follow the seniors' arrangements." Suddenly, he was stunned by the sight of a long, smooth, purple-haired girl walking out. It was Emily announcing loudly, "The next match on stage will feature the main force of the Holy Talent Decision." It felt like lightning struck in his head. Confused Ma Dong smiled lightly, covering his face. "To face such a strong opponent sent by the enemy. This time our captain needs to take action personally." Emily spoke up. Ma Dong was surprised. "Brother Baron, you're so admired by our captain." He chuckled to himself, thinking that the guy just wanted to step up because there was a beautiful girl in this match. "But maybe I shouldn't say that out loud." She asked, "Why is it you?" He casually replied, "Of course it's me." Ma Dong said, "Lily, you're the second strongest in the Holy Talent Decision. Just based on that status, our captain should personally host you." Lily rushed over. "Stop wasting words." Ma Dong joked, stepping aside to avoid her. He laughed loudly. "My captain's nickname is Light as a Feather. Are you trying to chase me away? You flirt." "It's not that easy." Ma Dong turned around and ran away to chase me off. Then she immediately jumped down to the arena, cursing angrily as she ran out alone. Lai Lai was so furious she was shaking while he just lounged around teasing little Lai Lai. "Hopefully we can continue the fight next time." Everyone quickly protested against Ma Dong. "You're really unbeatable." The shy girl buried her face in her hands. "How could I trust Ma Dong? I'm such a fool." He just sat there looking dumbfounded. Captain Vuong Trong had his hands on his hips, feeling helpless. Who acts like that Ma Dong? The cheers rang out for the Holy Talent Decision. Scarlet was worried. Now they had lost 2 matches. The situation wasn't looking good. He reassured her, "Don't worry." Still under control, Vuong Trong turned to Bin Li. "It's your turn to perform now." Bin Li immediately followed the order from Senior Vuong. He looked strangely calm as he stepped up onto the stage. The girls in the audience widened their eyes. Their eyes lit up ready for action. A hand clenched into a fist was raised. Cheers erupted. "Binli, go for it! We love you!" Ma Dong glanced over, startled. The fan support team was forming. Baron chuckled softly, hearing that Bin Li was also donating to the academy for a new library. Impressive, he thought to himself. Little did he know that was a handsome attack. So rich, making others envious. Suddenly, a sword slammed down onto the ground with a loud thud. "Is that enough noise?" The cheers rose again as the fourth member of the Holy Talent Decision stepped onto the stage. It was the great swordsman Adam. Who is this arrogant weirdo stepping up? "Come on up." The voice called out Binli from the weirdo stepped onto the stage. He asked, "Where's your weapon?" Binli raised his beautiful slender hands and replied, "These hands are my weapons." The girls cheered, "Binli, my handsome love." Adam shouted back, "You pale-faced losers are just bragging." Embarrassed, he finished his sentence, and the sword began to glow. He was surrounded by shards. Everyone was curious. "What is that?" Jin Thien chuckled. "You've never seen this before, have you? The great sword with the latest fusion transmission technique." Ma Dong's eyes widened. "This is against the rules." Adam now looked like a robot clad in armor. "Come on, handsome prince." Vuong Trong's gaze was distant. He crouched down and shouted, then swung his sword fiercely. The force quickly attacked Bin Li. Adam jumped up. "Let's see how you dodge this." Chin. Ma Dong shouted loudly, "Bin Li, be careful, it's dangerous." Chanthin laughed with delight. "Adam's defense has no gaps at all." "Are you scared yet?" The girls in the stands cheered loudly. "No!" He swung his sword, shouting, "Die!" But his gaze remained calm, a slight smile on his face. Adam unleashed the move, Taishan Press. An explosion erupted, rocks flying everywhere. Everyone covered their eyes, shouting, "Bin Li!" But through the smoke, the two figures appeared. With a swing of his arm, Adam's tall frame fell heavily to the ground. The astonishing warrior shouted loudly. Adam chuckled quietly, directly attacking the vulnerable spot on the helmet. With one strike, he took down the enemy. The warrior was truly formidable. The warrior raised his hand high along with the battle cries of the warriors. Quickly, Adam was laid on a stretcher and taken away. The warrior thought to himself, Adam lost again. Who would have thought he would be cornered by an eccentric in a 2-on-2 match? But it's okay. His gaze sharpened as he looked at the king. The last one of their group was the weakest in the team. Ma Dong leaned on his hips and asked the king, "Are you really okay?" That sixth warrior was very cunning. Their strength had already been arranged. Scarlet, with a worried look, called out to the king, "You can do this, trust me." The king raised his bow and declared, "I can handle an opponent of that level." The cheers erupted as the eccentric's club entered the arena. "Oh my God, is he using a magical bow?" After graduating high school, very few people used magical bows. The warrior laughed loudly. "Vice King, what are you doing with that toy?" "Isn't that outdated?" Ma Dong shouted, "If you can't win, just run. Don't get hurt." He turned back and replied, "I know." He spoke up, "Vice Captain, I have an idea. This is the decisive match. Let's add some flair to it." The warrior grinned wickedly. "If you win Emmy and the warrior don't have to honor the previous agreement, but they will join our Holy Talent Club." He then asked in a teasing tone, "So back at the party you issued that challenge so boldly. Now you can't decide for your teammates." The warrior laughed loudly, angrily, turning back and shouted, "What's so funny?" He kept his smile and replied, "Nothing. I just wanted to say that the senior can fully represent my opinion. Emily is just as amusing. I also agree with the king." "Big brother," the warrior asked coldly, "they all said that what do you think, Vice King?" The king lightly drew his bow. "Since my junior sister and junior brother value me this much." The LED lights flickered in surprise. He raised his bow, affirming, "Of course I can't let them down." He scoffed lightly. "What can a tiny bow do?" The arrows were shot off. Waves of power surged around. The arrows shot straight ahead. The warrior raised his shield, chuckling lightly. The arrows struck directly into the shield. He swung his hand and shouted, "I told you it was useless." On this side, the king quickly drew his bow again. The king continued to shoot arrows flying out in succession. The second, third, fourth, and fifth arrows left the warrior utterly astonished. His eyes widened as the arrows sped towards him. The shield was attacked in turn. It was another 5 arrows in succession. An explosion erupted and his arm came to a halt. Smoke billowed up. Now he lay sprawled on the ground, mouth agape, while the shield shattered into pieces. The cheers rang out. The sixth warrior is unconscious. The warrior smiled. Ma Dong cheered loudly. Great job! Baron was so happy he could cry. Oh, senior! Emily shouted. The king won! Scarlet also breathed a sigh of relief as the announcement rang out. The winner is the king of the eccentric. On the screen in the building. Scarlet also breathed a sigh of relief as the announcement came. The winner is Vung Trong the weirdo. The screen in the building displayed the match footage of Vung Trong. A comment arose. That kid really has the blood of a warrior, but his performance still has some limitations. Ray praised him in an admiring tone. It's all thanks to Master Grimm's teachings. I truly value this heavenly war dragon. Dream humbly replied, You're too kind. When the time comes, I still need your help at the training camp to teach them a bit. He proactively mentioned the opponent's contributions. After all, at first you also led the heavenly war to victory. 8 strong, Ray. She just smiled softly. Yes, I will definitely do my best. But after watching that clip, what caught my attention the most was that kid. Ray nodded and continued to look at the screen. There was Vung Trong. Dream briefly introduced him. That boy is Vung Trong, a student who was specially recruited into the command system last year. His theoretical knowledge is very solid, and he has many creative ideas. It's a pity that his soul power isn't very good, so he always ranked at the bottom of the command board before. I didn't expect he still has the potential for this 5-arrow cross. She made a few personal comments. His ability is indeed limited by his weak soul power, so he has worked very hard on his instincts and skills. Ray was genuinely interested in Vung Trong. There are very few people with a solid foundation like that kid. During this training session, if he can't join because of his weak soul power, then I think we should make an exception. The two laughed and chatted cheerfully. You can rest assured about those two clubs. Haven't they already used your training position to compete like this? Vung Trong's name was already known. Moreover, Scarlet has always wanted to pull him into her club. That kid is really lucky. The scene shifts to the amusement park. A voice rings out, Come on, buddy, this is the biggest request from our group, you know. Vung Trong feels helpless and asks, Why are the two guys here at the amusement park? This is a celebration after winning the lottery, he replies. Ma Dong smiles mysteriously. Of course, there's something good coming up. But my face isn't as good as yours, so I can only drag you along. Just then, a third voice chimes in. Sorry to keep you waiting. Ma Dong quickly changes his cheerful attitude to welcome them. No problem, we just got here too. Welcome, beautiful girls. Milano feels a bit shy. Vung Trong and Ma Dong greet them. Meanwhile, Scarlet is quite carefree. First, let me congratulate you on winning the lottery. Let's do it. Look at me and my sister Milano. We put in a lot of effort this time to get ready to go out. She feels a bit embarrassed mentioning it. I'm wearing contact lenses. Do I look a bit odd? Ma Dong immediately denies it. Not at all. You're always beautiful, and you look even more stunning today. They all head into the amusement park at Scarlet's suggestion. What should we play first? He quickly responds, When it comes to amusement parks, the first ride has to be the roller coaster. The screams echo throughout the sky. During the outing, Ma Dong was extremely attentive and energetic, making everyone happy. By the end of the day, as the sun set, they chose to sit on the Ferris wheel. At that moment, Milano was sitting in the same cabin with him, seizing the opportunity to talk about the last time Ma Dong was at the party. He said, I want to apologize to you. Actually, I should be the one apologizing. Her eyes sparkled, her voice soft as she was a member of the student council, yet she discriminated against others. You all clearly are a team that works very hard. But before I always felt that you guys only knew how to be strange. I'm really sorry, Ma Dong, interrupted the senior, but didn't you come to cheer for us at the arena? Today you even specially came to congratulate us on our victory. His face turned slightly red as he gathered all his courage to confess. I think the senior is a really good person. Everyone in the academy has misunderstood. I like the senior. Can you give me a chance to get to know you? Milano was caught off guard by the situation, only able to stutter each word. Ma Dong, let me think about this for a moment. Hearing her say that, he felt delighted and raised his voice. Thinking for a bit means I have a chance, right? In the cabin next door. Scarlet had also heard the commotion. It seemed Ma Dong was really confessing. If the senior agrees, that would be great. Earlier he told me about this. I was quite surprised, and he even dragged you into this. It seems Ma Dong is sincere. Wang Zhong chuckled lightly. Maybe half of it is attracted by her beauty. His expression carried anticipation. We're about to become colleagues in the training camp. Help me out, classmate Scarlet, she happily replied. You too, classmate Wang Zhong. Let's work hard together. On the screen, the previous competition of Wang Zhong was replayed, and comments erupted like a storm. Wow, who said the king was following the path of an assassin? He pierced right through again. That must be the new Tan Tan Kung Luk Trung Joanelek. The announcement rang out. Only the king wins. Each comment appeared again. Does it need to be that tough? The depth of the body is lower than the width of my shoulders, so it got pierced like that. This is the legendary Ba Dong Quan. The scene shifted to the inside of the machine area. He lay inside a cabin, thinking and secretly feeling happy. It had been a week since the last victory. This time, I wonder how the match will come to the players. At this moment, Wang Zhong noticed his mailbox. Full of letters already. He selected a letter from Anolia Capifer. The content displayed, "Hello, your challenge letter has been received. Only the king chooses to fight." Suddenly, Anolia shouted, "All right, I can finally wash away the previous humiliation." Anod asked in confusion, "What's going on?" His expression was extremely smug. "I sent a challenge letter to the only king. This time I have to use my real nick to defeat him," he gently advised. "Hey, you're a warrior after all, right? Is it really necessary to challenge him?" But Anolia doesn't listen. The captain had said after watching the match where he defeated the team, "If I win, he'll go on a date with me for a day." This shocking news leaves Anod in disbelief. Oh my God, is there really such good news? A voice appears from behind. That's just half of it. Lola reiterates the condition. I said win. Only the strongest can go on a date with me for a day. She pauses for a moment, her words sounding like they come from a sea of fire. But if you lose... Behind Lola, a giant, terrifying beast appears, and the words continue. Then you'll be playing with my little bear for a week. A hesitant voice speaks up afterward. This is the violent bear, the spirit beast of Captain Lola. Anon's voice starts to tremble. Anolia, good luck. Despite his fear, he doesn't lose heart and immediately takes action. Don't keep others waiting. I'm jumping in now. In an instant at the arena, the system announces, Kapofer Anolia enters the match skill-based arena. The commentators immediately buzz with excitement. Anolia. Isn't this guy from the Brave faction? How can he keep up with him? Are you kidding? Don't you know there is a type of battle called a duel? The spectators below the arena focus on the random weapons. The enchanted gun sparks discussions. Another enchanted gun, only the strongest have it. It's a bit pitiful, isn't it? From the surface, two pairs of pink-red shoes appear in parallel. Lola puts her hands on her hips, speculating, but if he really can use the power of resonance, then the enchanted gun might as well not exist. Anon thinks to herself, Anolia wouldn't lose just because he underestimated him, right? She quietly considers his abilities. Although he was once famous for his bragging, it doesn't mean he lacks intelligence. In the stands, upon seeing his opponent, Anolia speaks first. Although you and I have no grudges due to some personal reasons yesterday, you'll have to die by my hands. The next moment, he charged forward to attack first. Seeing this, Anolia excitedly cheered him on. Right from the start, he had a solid defense, very tight. Lola felt smug after all he had gone through my special training. At that moment, Vung Trong pulled out two guns, wondering to himself how the soldier of Deng Jia was doing. His gaze was both determined and sharp. The challenge echoed in his mind. It was just the right time to test my control skills. The next second, Vung Trong fired rapidly at the opponent. But all the shots were dodged by Anolia swinging his axe. His tone was smug, shouting that it was all in vain. He jumped up high, holding his knife and striking down while emphasizing each word, die for me. Anolia tilted his hand, sweeping across in a wide arc. The shout echoed as he dodged left and right. Meanwhile, Vung Trong seized the opportunity to shoot two bullets into his arm, but it seemed Anolia didn't even feel it. Pain shot through his leg and then his foot kicked straight into Vung Trong's chest, sending him flying backward. He continued to fire off a series of bullets, but Anolia blocked them all with his hands. The bullets he fired were met with Enolia's gleeful laughter. Useless, useless. The audience watching through the screens began to murmur. The mighty warrior was only using 50 gelasso of power. Wasn't that just a scratch for Enolia? In the monitoring room, a voice rang out, drawing attention. Your perspective is too low. No wonder you all couldn't see it. The girl who spoke looked at the screen, confident in her assumption. The mighty warrior was intentionally probing the opponent, wasn't he? Summer, hands on her hips, asked with great satisfaction, Am I right, Mario? He obediently agreed, saying she was absolutely correct. The captain's presence caused a stir among everyone. Summer, the fire butterfly, had become a master of the elite, and she called out to Lola, urging her to come over and watch the match together. Aren't you worried about your team members? At that moment, someone noticed the presence of the two. They had been so focused on the match that they didn't realize that Lola, the captain of Kapofer, had arrived. The two great big buns from the north and south were able to reunite here. The big bun mentioned earlier refers to the impressive chess of the two of them. The people around immediately became excited. This time, coming to watch the match was truly worth it. Lola sighed in frustration and asked, You didn't come here just to say that, did you? Summer covered her mouth and laughed, responding, Of course not. She pointed to the large screen above and continued, The VIP room allows you to view multiple angles of the match at once, making it easier to observe the powerful warriors in battle. Ever since that match, I've been a fan of his. Lola wasn't to be outdone, really. But our Enolia won't go down easily. Summer was very confident. I can't wait to see it at the arena. The sound of shoes scraping against the ground echoed as the match was getting intense, with Enolia's complaints about dodging constantly appearing. So annoying. He gritted his teeth, deciding to go all out. The muscles on his body bulged immediately. Lola, pleased, looked at Enolia's power mechanism and declared, This is Enolia's ultimate move, frenzy when in a state of rage. His whole body radiated fierce energy, and his expression became more ferocious. He shouted loudly, You powerful warriors, prepare to die! He leaned to the side to dodge. At the same time, he fired several rounds. Enolia quickly noticed the bullets curving toward him. He gritted his teeth, narrowing his eyes to predict the trajectory of the two bullets. It was a curve shot aimed at his temple. Enolia decided to bend down, but suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Seeing this, Anon, who was observing from the outside, understood the situation. Being forced to stop suddenly like that, even someone as strong as Enolia could suffer internal injuries. Suddenly, he opened his mouth and roared loudly. He swung his massive muscular arm forward. Mario also noticed something. It was a reverse direction maneuver. After going into a frenzy, he surprisingly still managed to control it so skillfully. The crowd around them cheered, Go for it, you warrior! In the next moment, Enolia stomped down hard to gain momentum and charged forward rapidly. The bullet fired with immense destructive force. It collided with the axe handle, leaving Enolia watching in confusion. How could everything focus on the axe handle? The two spinning axes flew toward the powerful warrior. His gaze remained determined, his demeanor extremely calm. Sure enough, shortly after the two axes whizzed past him, Lola, observing from the outside, was not worried at all. Although he dodged the flying axes, the real attack from Enolia was yet to come. After that statement, the sight of his massive figure appeared right in front of the powerful warrior. He swung his arms back forcefully. Just as his hands were coming together, Enolia's body suddenly halted. The sight of his massive figure appeared right before Vung Trong. With both hands swinging back, just as his hands were coming together, Enolia's body suddenly froze. No matter how hard I try, he still can't move. This leaves everyone feeling confused. Why isn't he attacking anymore? At that moment, the gun was brought close to Enolia's chin. Vung Trong's face broke into a slight smile as he asked, You've reached your limit, haven't you? I'm so sorry. Just as he finished speaking, he pulled the trigger to end the match. Then he jumped up in joy, celebrating his victory. Meanwhile, Lala couldn't help but wonder why Enolia stopped attacking at the end. Anal suddenly spoke up, looking bewildered. So that's it. I just realized something from the last match. All of the shots from Chi Kung Vungza. His expression grew increasingly serious. Every bullet fired was not wasted. They were all aimed at Enolia's joints, inflicting damage bit by bit, but no one noticed. Finally reaching the limit, they broke through his defenses. Anal was utterly shocked by Vung Trong. Such marksmanship. He truly is a warrior capable of using three-dimensional power. Chikung Vungja is someone to be reckoned with. Outside the park, Vung Trong was sitting and munching on bread. Suddenly, Emily appeared out of nowhere, calling out to Vung Trong, "Big brother, look at this hot news." On the newspaper screen were the faces of Lola and Summer. The little girl excitedly reported, "I can't believe even the warrior of the Brave Squad dealt with Chikung Vungza so easily. That's impressive." Now even the top warriors of the elite squad are writing reports with comments about him, along with a bunch of online commentary. Everyone's asking, is Chikung Vungza another nickname for some hero? It could be right. The account can't be logged in by anyone else. So this hero could endure 99 consecutive defeats before. In this world, there are always some pointless people, but if it's not a little trick, then the shooting skills are truly miraculous and the three-dimensional power is legendary. It could be that a weak chicken suddenly burst forth. The little girl added, the forum is filled with news and comments about the match against the wild beasts. The pioneer's reaction surprised him as well. He didn't expect so many speculations. Then he awkwardly laughed and said, "Really? That's impressive." But still, let's stay humble for a bit. At that moment, Ma Dong waved from afar and called out, "Vung Trong, it's done." Emily wondered, "Done with what?" He pointed behind him and happily replied, "It's all set up. Our club's activity room." When they entered, everyone gasped in amazement. The room was huge, and there was even a dedicated training area next to it. "From now on, we won't have to book the common activity room in advance." Milano introduced to everyone, "As long as you all like it, that's great." The Black Rose activity room is right above. Originally, it was meant to be used after the club developed. Now it's arranged for the eccentric first. After all, everyone will participate together later. The training camp can facilitate more exchanges. Ma Dong's heart-shaped eyes couldn't hide his excitement. "I know it's because you want to see me often that you arranged for us to be here." Right. Mimi Vung Chung took the opportunity to use a special form of address. "Milano, did you agree to Ma Dong?" "Congratulations to both of you," she blushed awkwardly. This silly guy already said not to call him so exaggeratedly. Vung raised his hand to give orders. "All right, everyone, let's get to work. Please tidy up your things." Milano was annoyed. "Chen, you're really a pain." He quickly reassured, "Got it, Captain, just leave the moving to me." She felt helpless in front of their childishness. "You're still acting like a kid." Then he took out his phone to check who was in the news. The screen showed Summer's image along with her voice. "Sister, it's me. How have you been lately?" "Still stationed in Tianjin." "Why not come back to Hoadium City? Our team is joining the Long 2 battle." They chatted happily together. Milano replied, "Anyway, my parents work in Tianjin." Summer quickly continued, "All right, let's not mention that anymore. I'm here to tell you that I'll be heading to the battle soon." Suddenly, Ma Dong peeked in. "Is that Mimi's family? Should I say hello?" She reminded Ma Dong not to cause any trouble. The person on the other end understood. "When you have time, remember to cheer for me, okay? Bye." He was startled when he saw her impressive figure. Milano immediately got angry. "What do you mean by impressive figure?" "Ma Dong, do you want to get yourself killed?" He panicked. "Sorry, just let me explain." Mimi transitioned the scene to the evening at Hoa DM Academy. The surroundings were bustling, shouting that it was about to start. Mario, hearing this, asked, "What are you all doing?" Someone replied, "Deputy Mario, our prince, is going into battle to find someone to argue with." Hearing this, he immediately directed, "Then why are you just standing there? Hurry up and arrange the VIP room." The group rushed off, all in unison. Understood. At that moment in the arena for skill battles, the two sides entered the match at Hoa DM Academy. "Jamais." The enthusiastic fans cheered. "We've been waiting for you, Prince." M's figure gradually appeared, holding a large cannon, feeling the heat of the competition. She excitedly said, "This atmosphere is pretty good." The announcement continued. "The opponent is entering the arena." A figure appeared with a serious face. Summer's opponent this time was the golden swordsman Brad. Soon after, the signal announced, "The battle begins." On this side, Anolia took a hit from Lola and fell hard to the ground, almost unconscious. Lola looked at the scene before her, feeling a bit bored, and said, ending it like this, "Why, Anolia, you're too weak." Just as she left the match, someone came to report Captain Summer has started her battle. This news surprised her a bit. What's so sudden? I should go see what's happening. Back to Summer's battle, she was now full of excitement, firing her cannon rapidly at Brad. With each shot fired, her whole body shook with excitement and joy, laughing loudly. "Ha ha, this is so comfortable. This is what fighting is all about." The spectators outside immediately had nosebleeds at this captivating scene. They shouted loudly, "It should be like this." The viewers outside immediately had nosebleeds at this captivating scene. They shouted loudly, "It should shake like this." Brad over there remains completely undistracted, focused on the match. He continuously weaves and dodges the cannon fire as he speeds toward the blurred tattoo. With a look of disdain, he speaks up. "You shoot randomly like that. There's no way you can hit us." His cold gaze sweeps over to her, his tone dripping with mockery. "At this rate, you'll exhaust all your spirit power." Lola observes from outside, feeling a bit contemplative and confused. Although Summer's firepower is truly beyond imagination, her energy is more suited for the team. Why choose such a chaotic battleground? Summer, on the other hand, pays no mind to Brad's words, still filled with excitement as she fires continuously. Brad isn't idle, either dodging bullets while propelling himself forward. After a while of dodging, he finally starts to attack, shouting loudly, "Total annihilation skill!" Then he swiftly darts forward in a zigzag pattern. Bandelio 3 strikes hard. Summer is quite surprised by the opponent's attack speed, and soon Brad is closing in on her. Right in front of her are 3 figures of Brad. He raises his sword and simultaneously shouts, "Take this!" In the face of this situation, she remains unafraid. On the contrary, a small smirk of excitement appears at the corner of her mouth as she leaps forward, feeling quite pleased. "You've been tricked." Just as Summer leaps into the air, the cannon's barrel in her hand swings powerfully toward Brad, her tone filled with enthusiasm. It feels like she has secured the victory. "The moment I've been waiting for is now." The cannon in her hand swings up so suddenly that Brad can't react in time. He loses sight of her, filled with fear and doubt. He exclaims, "What?" But when he opens his eyes, the barrel is right in front of him. Summer looks at him coldly and says, "Bye-bye." The moment she finishes her words, the firepower is unleashed, engulfing her in a blaze of heat and powerful energy. Brad screams in pain, and in no time his figure vanishes from the arena, leaving only that overwhelming force behind. Lola, witnessing the scene on the battlefield, can't help but exclaim, "I can't believe the attack just now was a feint. To use the cannon's body as a cover to approach for a real attack is truly impressive." The crowd around is particularly excited, continuously cheering "Long live the king" after witnessing the match. At this moment, she silently resolves, "I can't fall behind either." After returning, she must train harder to develop new skills. Summer on the field puts away her cannon, slamming the butt of it down onto the ground as a cold announcement rings out. The winner is Summer. Her eyes shine brightly with confidence as she speaks. "You really are a fierce opponent. Are you scared yet?" Meanwhile, inside the academy grounds, Wang Zhong walks while patiently explaining to Emily, "That's right, Emmy. For an assassin, this is something very important to understand. For example, speed becomes even more crucial in complex terrains." The little girl smiles politely and replies, "I understand, Wang Zhong, brother." At that moment, he seems to remember something, turning to Baron Gosta, who is walking behind him. "Speaking of this, to counter unexpected ambushes, you can't let your guard down either." Hearing his name mentioned, he is a bit startled, but quickly responds, "I understand, senior. I'll make sure to train accordingly." Scarlet approaches from a distance, calling out, "Wang Zhong, I've been looking for you." She walks toward the 3 of them, her voice gentle. "Next weekend, we're heading to the training camp, okay? Don't forget you and Baron are coming along, right?" At the same time, she reminds him, "Make sure to prepare the necessary things in advance." Wang Zhong maintains a polite attitude. "Thank you for the reminder, Scarlet." After she finishes reminding him, she turns and walks away. "See you then." Wung Chung politely waved goodbye to Emily, who had been standing next to him. Finally, unable to hold back any longer, he exclaimed loudly, "Wung Chung, bro, you've really lost your mind over her, haven't you?" But just as she left, his gaze became serious, and he silently calculated the time left. There wasn't much until the training began. This time, if he could encounter the lurking enemy during the operation. After a while, in a forest filled with bizarre monsters, a cold voice announced, "Battlefield dense forest. Random opponent. Random weapon pairing complete. Opponent Death Demon." He was currently hiding on a high branch, intently observing the enemy below. Ready for battle, he watched Vung Trong for a while. Seeing him casually walking through the forest made him feel a bit smug. That kid has no idea how tough the world can be. Today, I'll teach you a lesson. But when he looked at the weapon in Vung Trong's hand, curiosity sparked within him. What kind of weapon has that kid brought? The weapon was quite unusual. It had 4 sharp tips pointing outward, and the grip was a unique 5-fingered design. From his high vantage point, the death demon could clearly see how Vung Trong was handling it. Intrigued, he thought the weapon resembled a common throwing weapon. The 5-fingered grips could all move. This weapon is interesting. Outside, when the audience saw the death demon appear on screen, they burst into laughter. Looks like today's the end for the strong king. Another coward. He can camouflage himself using colors, knows the terrain of the secret forest well, and even carries a strange weapon. Back in the arena, the death demon was aiming his crossbow at Vung Trong. Still feeling smug, he thought, no matter what weapon you use, I won't go easy on you. Then he released an arrow that sliced through the air. Vung Trong quickly sensed the movement. His eyes sharpened as he scanned the area, then he swiftly turned and dodged the arrow. This scene startled the death demon hiding in the tree. He dodged again. Quickly regaining his composure, he fired 3 arrows at once, but it was the same as before. Vung Trong easily dodged all the arrows. His performance left the audience outside in awe, evading attacks like Smith in The Matrix. They must have conspired together. Vung Trong smirked slightly, feeling pleased. Compared to the intense training with Simba in the Demon Sea at the beginning, this kind of ambush was nothing. He quickly steadied his stance, ready for the next hunt. He fixed his cold gaze on the death demon in the tree, immediately making up his mind. He intended for that death demon to be the target of his throwing weapon. With that thought, Vung Trong shouted to activate his weapon. Instantly, it spun like a propeller in his hand. Without hesitating for another second, he swung his arm powerfully. He threw the weapon toward the hiding death demon, shouting loudly, "Let's go, 10-fingered slash!" The death demon, seeing Vung Trong launch an attack towards him, was startled and confused, exclaiming, "How did he know I was here?" But before he could figure it out, the 10-fingered slash crushed him, leaving behind only 3 words. "No way." Vung Trong shot a cold glance at him, mockingly saying, "I already knew where you were hiding from the moment you attacked. But I didn't expect the power of the 10-fingered slash to be this great." The cold announcement echoed once more, "Winner strong king." Vung Trong's recent performance thrilled the audience, who cheered endlessly. Memories of a different era began to resurface as the world fell into decay and ruin. In humanity's dark age, some incredibly talented geniuses emerged. LaFoxer was one of them. In that era, the basic runic weapons weren't born from energy, but were created by humans, and LaFoxer was one of those extraordinary figures. He was originally just a very ordinary warrior of the Federation during the Dark Age without any special talents, belonging to the time of the Soul Guardians, lying amidst the ruins and devastation. At that time, there was a small, motionless figure, a trembling hand reaching out to support the little girl. Tears streamed down the forger's face as he screamed in agony, holding the girl's lifeless body in his arms. He was filled with pain, resentment, and fury, but utterly powerless, and the cruel fate had unleashed the turning point of his life when a monster attacked, destroying the place he lived. In that battle, his wife and children were slaughtered by the monsters. From then on, no one knew the whereabouts of LaFox anymore until much later. People found another trace related to LaFoxer. His next appearance was in the city of Lam Dong when it was attacked by ferocious beasts. He called upon everyone from all over to protect the city. The monsters within the city continued to wreak havoc and kill the people rampaging everywhere. In that era, humanity was in an extremely difficult situation. If it weren't for the lack of a place to escape, LaFoxer would have given up long ago. But in reality, humans basically had no way to withstand the destruction caused by the monsters. It was said that the city's defense system was continuously being destroyed. The battles were almost all disastrous failures. The city's defenses had basically been obliterated, while thousands of monsters still roamed free as everyone sank into despair. Then LaFoxer appeared. Although he saw the ferocity and cruelty of the beasts, he stepped forward alone. into the midst of the beasts. Hearing this, he looked at the ruined room before him, unable to hold back any longer. Tears streamed down his face as he shouted, "Vung Trong, I didn't go through all this trouble to get this toy from the museum for you to destroy this room. My captain's room next door is about to collapse." Faced with Ma Dong's fierce attitude, Vung Trong could only force a smile and say, "Sorry, I won't use it in the room." At that moment, Christy Bingley also chimed in, "Senior, that weapon is great, but honestly, it's not worth the effort to use it. It's really too difficult to handle." Returning to LaFoxer's story, he charged into the midst of the monsters wielding the 10 self-returning blades with great force. Wherever it flew, monsters fell. His gaze was filled with hatred and killing intent. LaFoxer raised the 10 self-returning blades in his hand without hesitation, preparing for battle. At that moment, he said nothing more. But LaFoxer, filled with rage and resentment, let out a loud roar towards the monsters. The weapon in his hand was immediately unleashed, and the surrounding monsters were instantly cut into pieces. The determination born from despair and a heart that had died within him allowed the weapon he created with his own hands to reach an immortal, unyielding realm. The infinite cycle of the 10 self-returning blades seemed to have become a part of LaFoxer, launching and retracting with incredible precision without any mistakes. Vung Trong held the 10 self-returning blades in his hand, unable to help but exclaim, "This weapon originally has such a legendary story. It's not in vain that I asked Ma Dong to help me bring it here." Looking at the damaged room before them, Scarlet spoke up a bit flustered. "So that's why I said that weapon is incredibly difficult to control. Using it in this room is impossible." In everyone's memory, that was also the legendary battle of humanity during the Dark Age. LaFoxer had wiped out all the monsters, and moreover his weapons were thereafter known as LaFoxer's Infinite Slaughter, the 10 self-returning blades. Scarlet softly continued the story. After the battle in Lam Dong, LaFoxer left to find another battlefield. After that, he left no trace, but the legend of him still lives on. The 10 self-returning blades have been imitated in many places, but no one could wield them. Vung Trong carefully held the 10 self-returning blades in his hand and replied, "I understand." "Thanks, guys. I'm just a bit curious about how it works. Just a little. And then you look at that weapon in your hand and can't help but think, is the Foxer Infinite all about decimation?" At this moment, Ma Dong felt a bit more relaxed. He turned and walked away. But he didn't forget to remind everyone, "All right, hurry up and get to class. I'll call everyone to the lounge later." Christy Bingley also chimed in, "Senior, let's head over there first." Meanwhile, Vuong Trong was still pondering over this weapon, the Decimation 10. If he could use it, it might be something beyond imagination. He was really looking forward to it. After a while, the rooms had been arranged and tidied up. Ma Dong sighed helplessly. "All right, I guess it's almost done. Next time, don't cause a ruckus in the room." Vuong Trong immediately showed a remorseful attitude and explained, "Got it. I won't do it again. It's just that I've never used it before, so I wasn't precise." He was also quite relaxed and brushed it off, then excitedly said, "After all, even though this is the room my Mimi prepared, it definitely had to have Scarlet's help to be arranged like this. Only then could it be organized." His expression at this moment was sly as he teased Vuong Trong. "Remember last time at the amusement park, you even sat on the Ferris wheel with me. What did you two talk about?" Vuong Trong chuckled and replied, brushing it off, "Nothing much, just helping each other out for the upcoming training." But Ma Dong couldn't let it go that easily. He immediately hugged Vuong Trong's neck and interrogated him. "Is it that someone likes you?" Vuong Trong quickly denied it, and the two laughed and joked for a while until the room was finished. Ma Dong didn't stay any longer and said goodbye. "I'm done with my work. I'll head back first. Bye." Vuong Trong waved back. "Take care." Then he turned and let out a small sigh of relief. At that moment, images of the clown flashed in Vuong Trong's mind, making him think that Simba still hadn't woken up. The top priority now was to store enough soul energy so that the Wheel of Destiny could move once again and restore Simba. After a while, Vuong Trong arrived at the entrance. Looking at the door in front of him, he felt a bit confused, scratching his head. The paint on this side wasn't dry. It seemed he could only use some tools for now. Late at night, as Vuong Trong passed by the gravity room, he was a bit curious as to why the lights in the gravity room were still on. Looking at the room in front of him, he couldn't help but wonder, it's so late already. Could it be the soldiers? Thinking that, he walked closer, opened the door, and stepped inside to take a look. Hello. Inside the room, sharp sword flashes lit up, surprising Vuong Trong a bit. This swordsmanship. He observed intently for a while, unable to contain his admiration. So beautiful. The person in the room was still engrossed in swordplay, unaware that someone had just entered. It wasn't until a while later, after finishing her training, that Caroline noticed someone else in the room, which surprised her a bit. Meanwhile, Vuong Trong was blushing a little. Embarrassed, he stared at her without blinking. Caroline approached him, her tone carrying a hint of curiosity. What a coincidence someone came to practice so late. I'm really sorry for borrowing your space. It was only when her voice rang out that Vuong Trong was startled for a moment. At that moment, he finally snapped back to reality and hurriedly introduced himself. I'm really sorry for borrowing your place. Just as her voice rang out, Vuong Trong was startled for a moment. At that moment, he finally regained his composure and hurriedly introduced. Hi there, I'm Vuong Trong. You put on this serious face, speaking clearly and decisively, asking, Can you be my girlfriend? This unexpected confession took Caroline by surprise. She was momentarily stunned and skeptical, but quickly regained her composure, stifling a giggle. Seeing this, Vuong Trong felt a bit embarrassed and couldn't help but ask, What's so funny about it? She hurriedly waved her hands to explain, No, you misunderstood. Then Caroline looked at him seriously and said, I actually really like honest people. Her face showed interest, and her sharp gaze was fixed on him. If you want to be my boyfriend, you have to be better than me. Hearing this condition, Vuong Trong chuckled softly. As long as I'm confident, that's good, right? Her attitude made her frown a bit, feeling slightly annoyed. What do you mean by that? With a sharp sword in hand, Caroline confidently pointed it at him. Don't look at me like that. I'm really strong. He glanced at the sharp sword right in front of him, smirking slightly, and replied, Well, to earn that qualification... Vuong Trong started to take off his outer shirt, smiling with excitement and confidence as he continued, I have to give it my all. Caroline coldly shot back, You think giving it your all means you can win? Vuong Trong maintained his confident demeanor and replied, How would I know if I don't try? Looking at his confident stance, she couldn't help but admire him. You're really confident, huh? How about this? Her sharp gaze swept over Vuong Trong, and then she calmly proposed, As long as you hit me once, I'll consider you the winner. How about that? Vuong Trong, equally spirited, calmly responded, If that's all it takes to be called a winner, then I can't say I'm stronger than you. Caroline smiled with delight and gently reminded him, This is interesting. You better be careful. She immediately took her sword and got into a fighting stance. Vuong Trong stood directly opposite her, quickly sensing the rising energy from her side. Feeling the intense power Caroline unleashed made him wonder and question how such energy could be harnessed. A young person like her could achieve this. She confidently lifted her chin and declared the start. As soon as she finished speaking, she shot forward like a bullet, her cold eyes filled with murderous intent. Vuong Trong was also ready to fight. Watching her attack speed, he was a bit astonished and silently thought, Wow, she's fast. One strike was both powerful and quick, thrusting towards him. He reacted just in time, leaning away while raising his hand to block. Caroline was a bit surprised to see this. You managed to block it. Not bad. She quickly unleashed a deadly move this time, not just one sword, but 10, all thrusting forward. With a confident expression, she asked, How about this? Vuong Trong was not to be outdone. His hands moved swiftly to block the continuous strikes. Just as the flurry of attacks ended, he seized the opportunity to throw a powerful punch towards Caroline. Surprisingly, he hit her arm that was holding the sword, causing it to slip from her grasp and fly away, embedding itself in the ground. Even though the sword had fallen, her will remained strong. Using her hand as a sword, Caroline charged forward once more, her tone slightly admiring. That was really not bad. What was that move called? Vuong Trong, not one to stand still, immediately gathered strength in his arm, gritting his teeth to throw another punch. Her sharp gaze observed his technique closely. She quickly realized that this technique could directly strike at the soul of the ordinary sea spirit. But before she could finish her sentence, the two sources of power collided with each other, creating quite a large shockwave. At this moment, Caroline observed closely. She was startled to realize something. His sea spirit was powerful. The energy burst was also very intense. Just as she recognized this, a massive source of power erupted. The entire room was filled with light and dust. After a while, when the dust settled, two figures gradually appeared. Vung Trong was lying on top of her, and before Caroline could react to what was happening, a warm kiss pressed against her lips, startling her completely. After a long moment, he reluctantly let her go. Vung Trong's face was a bit shy, but his voice declared boldly, "Now you belong to me." Before Vung Trong could feel happy, he received a punch right in the middle of his head. "Get away," she said angrily as she stood up to leave, her mouth still mumbling, "Are all guys really this lecherous?" But just as she reached the door, she shyly turned back and said to him, "I'm Caroline. I've got my eye on you." Even though Vung Trong had a lump on his head when he heard those words, he still managed to smile and replied, "That's an honor for me." But in response, all he got was the sound of a door slamming shut. At that moment, he wore a satisfied expression. In his heart, he thought about what Ma Dong had said using one's life to be able to date. In the morning, in the middle of the courtyard, a serious voice rang out, "All of you here are the elites of the academy. You have been selected for the training camp. I hope everyone will give their best effort to achieve the best results." Qianlong stood on the podium, his voice full of motivation. The trainees below began their training starting next week. At that time, there will be a special vehicle to pick everyone up. I hope everyone prepares well. Let's go, and all the trainees below. When they heard these words, they all cheered in response. Standing among the cheering trainees, Ma Dong looked like he had something to say, glancing at Vung Trong beside him. Vung Trong seemed lost in thought. His face turned bright red, his eyes a bit hazy. Ma Dong caught the point and leaned in close to his ear, grinning mischievously. "You were distracted during Gray's motivational speech, weren't you? Did some girl steal your heart?" Vung Trong, caught off guard, softly replied, "Yeah." Receiving his confirmation, Ma Dong was so shocked he almost choked on his saliva. "No way, I was just joking." Vung Trong shyly scratched his head and said, "Actually, I'm still not sure. She didn't give me her contact info and just left. She doesn't seem to be a student from Thin Kin." The image of the beautiful Caroline holding a sword flashed in Vung Trong's mind. He continued, "But her swordsmanship is truly mesmerizing. I can say it was love at first sight." Ma Dong laughed loudly, attracting the attention of many other nearby trainees. He threw his arm around Vung Trong's shoulder, walking along excitedly. "Looks like your dry brain has finally been opened up. Congratulations. Come on, tell the brothers about it." "Right, let's drink and talk." From the podium, they watched the backs of the two of them leaving. Ray sighed softly, then glanced back, asking if she was satisfied. She looked at the woman wearing a hood standing behind her and continued, "I really didn't expect someone of your status to be interested in the students of the Thin Kin Academy. Let me briefly introduce the Federation. Currently, it is under the influence of the 10 major clans, the Wai Pham clan, the Kui clan, the Music clan, the Building clan, followed by the True clan. The Serial clan, the Potter clan, and the Torres clan, along with the highest position among the 10 major clans, the Destiny Masters and the Guardian Masters, have appeared to help humanity during the Dark Age. The Mac clan. Moreover, after humanity's revival, they hold most of the economic lifeblood and important industries, which is the Stuart clan's return now." Gray turned around and slowly approached the mysterious figure, saying, "In any aspect, it's completely normal, so I don't understand. How could there possibly be any connection to Miss Caroline Stewart?" The mysterious girl who had just taken off her hood said this, but then she turned away, leaving behind a knowing smile, not wanting to trouble Gray. When Wang Zhong returned to his room, he opened the door while complaining, "That Ma Dong guy, always asking until the very end." Just then, a person wrapped in white bandages appeared right behind him, asking, "Are you Mr. Wang Zhong?" He cautiously turned his head and politely replied, "Hello, that's me. May I ask who you are?" The person bowed and presented him with a letter saying, "My name is not worth mentioning. I'm just delivering a letter from Our Lady to you, Mr. Wang Zhong." Watching the other person's car leave through the window, he opened the letter while wondering, using letters now, it must be from a big family. Who could it be? The letter simply stated to meet at Jianlong. After reading it, he said, "So it's her. All right. It seems I've really let myself go." At that moment, Wang Zhong had a fleeting thought before heading to the training camp for a fight. That evening, in the dormitory, Terrence sat in front of the screen, excitedly asking his roommate, "Hey, did you download it? Let's watch together." His roommate sitting on the upper bunk casually replied, "Wait a minute, I'm watching Tianjin." Suddenly that friend shouted, "It's here!" The unexpected shout startled Terrence, who looked up with a bit of annoyance. "Geez, you scared me." His friend excitedly held up his phone, saying loudly, "It's the online game, The Great King." Hearing this, Terrence dashed out of the room. His roommate called after him, "Don't run. Wait for me to put on my pants." But he ignored it, running and shouting, "The Great King, here I come." The scene shifted to the icy arena, a cold place covered in snow. A vague figure appeared, and at the same time, the system's voice announced, "Random opponent." Not long after, a cold-faced teenager appeared. The system announced, "Elite warrior Duan Loi, playing Summer on the phone." He said to Mario sitting next to him, "Are we directly facing an elite warrior? Has this happened before?" On the other side, someone shouted to their team, "Duan Loi isn't very strong. He has won 10 consecutive matches recently, right?" Scarlet looked at the screen, sighed softly, and muttered, "Just the Great King." Meanwhile, a group of people looked up at the big screen together, watching the upcoming match. They commented, "The Great King seems to be facing a formidable opponent this time." Duan Loi confidently leaned on his hands, looking at his opponent, saying, "This arena is really advantageous for me, so it wouldn't be entirely fair for you. If needed, feel free to change the location." Hearing the sarcastic remark, the Great King replied indifferently, "No need to change, thank you very much." The spectators murmured, "This pressure is huge. You all haven't seen our Great King fight yet." On the other side, Mario nodded, commenting, "Duan Loi's character isn't bad. He wants to fight fairly, but that's too disadvantageous for the Great King." The people from Hua Diantun all knew how the environment affected ability users. Anat grinned widely, saying, "Captain, I have a proposal. If Duan Loi wins against the Great King, you can agree to go on a date with me 1-0. Of course, if the Great King wins. I will train with Enolia together." Enolia angrily gritted her teeth, saying, "Anne, you're really cunning. Last time I fought alone and it was very—" Lola didn't notice that he was angry next to her. She interrupted, saying, "Just go with what you said." Anna was smug, grinning from ear to ear, exclaiming, "Great!" Meanwhile, Anna was fuming, "Damn it." Looking at the powerful opponent on the screen, Lola thought to herself that every battle seemed so relaxed, as if nothing could challenge him. But this time, he was really fighting someone 2 levels above. "Let's see if you can stay so relaxed." Her gaze remained fixed, and a thought crossed her mind. "Let me watch closely." At the battlefield, the 2 powerful opponents stood facing each other for a while. Loi Bang spoke first, a bit regretfully, "But it's hard to find an environment like this. I want to try a new technique a bit." Hearing him say that, the onlookers exclaimed, "He has won 10 consecutive matches already. And he's looking for a new technique. Does he not want anyone else to live?" At the same time, Loi Bang unleashed his technique, shouting loudly, "Gather!" As he finished, the cold wind rushed towards him. Very quickly after that, beneath his feet was a shiny pair of ice skates. Enolia exclaimed in surprise, "Elemental transformation! Just a few days ago, when he fought me, I didn't see this." Anat beside him sneered, "So you also contributed to those 10 consecutive wins, huh?" Back to the match, Loi Bang vanished in the blink of an eye before Vung Trong leaving him astonished. Soon he sensed a killing intent right behind him. The sound of the skates scraping against the ice was piercing. He immediately turned around, and Loi Bang appeared right behind him, launching himself quickly. Aiming straight at Vung Trong, he struck with a loud crash. Dust flew everywhere, and the ground shook violently. After the dust settled, the ground where Loi Bang struck split in 2, yet he nimbly dodged it. On the other side of the screen, the viewers couldn't help but exclaim, "Incredible! Such a thick layer of ice, truly a second-tier elite." The 2 opponents stood facing each other again in a flash. Vung Chung also silently admired. "Impressive, but this is the battle I want." In front of the screen, the audience was divided into 2 factions, cheering. One side supported Loi Bang. They said Loi Bang was incredibly powerful, mainly because his movements were hard to see. The other side countered, "But the powerful opponent can still escape. Our great warrior is unbeatable." On the other side of the screen, the battle continued. Loi Bang used elemental transformation to create a sword. He also said, "Your ability is actually not like a cannon fodder, so I apologize." As soon as he finished speaking, he swung the perfectly shaped sword in his hand. Mario observed the sword closely and commented, "Elemental weapon transformation." For a supernatural user, the energy conduction effect is much higher than that of a runic weapon. Moreover, with this design, it's truly a masterpiece. The sword made of ice glimmered with a blue light, surrounded by sparkling snowflakes. Taking a leap, Loi Bang shot towards his opponent like an arrow. He shouted, "Bring it on!" Vung Chung stood there a bit caught off guard by his speed. Loi Bang quickly passed him, slipping behind. Vung Chung realized his intention at that moment. He quickly leaned to dodge the deadly slash while also turning to counterattack. But with his incredible speed, Loi Bang easily avoided it. This made Vung Chung grit his teeth in frustration. He was currently at a disadvantage. He stood there, trying to dodge the continuous attacks from Loi Bang with the ultimate technique, the 360-degree floral technique, as Loi Bang thought he had done enough to Vung Chung. Exhausted, he unleashed his final move, raising his sword and aiming straight at you, ready to strike down. Little did he know you easily used your hand to block it, unable to stop his blade. Looking at his sword being held tightly, unable to withdraw or stab the opponent, he gritted his teeth and said, "I can catch you bare-handed," not wanting to hear any more nonsense. Vung Chung took a leap and kicked straight into his stomach. The audience in front of the screen cheered continuously for Vung while Jiahui Vu stood on the other side. Loi Bang was pushed back 100 meters. After the kick, Loi Bang just managed to kneel firmly. Before he could do anything, his pupils suddenly widened as Vung Chung appeared right behind him. You swung your hand and struck him hard on the back of his neck, creating a loud bang. Looking at Vung Chung's trembling hand after his sneak attack failed, Loi Bang shot a mocking glance. "What a pity, just a mere strong warrior." Loi Bang turned around, stood up, and looked at you, continuing, "The moment it activates the ice shield is my assassin's weapon. It can only be used twice a day," he said seriously, continuing to explain. "But in a favorable icy environment, it can be used without limits." After explaining the doubts to his opponent, Loi Bang's eyes suddenly flashed with a hint of killing intent. Then he pointed his sword and charged towards Vung Chung, adding, "Moreover, not just the shield, but the sword can also be used like this." Following that, the sword flew away, accompanied by the chilling sounds of death echoing in the air. The viewers through the screen cheered and commented as the scene unfolded, and then drops of fresh blood began to fall. Splattering onto the cold ice surface, Vung Chung's glasses revealed large stains of water from that spot. A warm red liquid slowly flowed down. Your face lit up with hope for your bet. He exclaimed, "Great! The result is already clear." "Captain, what do you want to eat? I can order it." Anolia looked at his attitude and felt extremely annoyed. Lola remained silent, lost in her own thoughts, unable to break through the normal barrier. "That ice shield is just for a strong warrior. You should just stand there and accept defeat on the battlefield." Loi Bang with the shield moved forward smugly saying, "I've won." Seizing the opportunity, he focused a massive amount of power into his fist and punched straight into that proud shield. The shield that Loi Bang was proud of was easily shattered into pieces. He widened his eyes in disbelief. "What? How could this happen?" He was knocked down to the ground as the system displayed a notification. "Only the strong warrior wins." The audience in front of the screen cheered with joy. The champion warrior, the match ended. Anne was deeply disappointed. He sighed. "How could this happen?" Anolia, however, was very happy, grinning and saying, "Good brother, see you at the training room." The corners of her mouth slightly curled up. At this moment, the ending move of the match still lingered in her mind. She thought to herself that last move broke the ice shield, which was the Void O3 movement technique, channeling soul power within the body to attack externally. But that move is incredibly burdensome for the Soul Sea. A normal soul technique is practically impossible. So who exactly is this strong warrior? On the day of the training camp's opening, the students of the school gathered at the gate. Emily looked at the person in front and called out, "Kelly Sr., have you arrived?" He turned his head to glance at her and said, "Emmy, you've arrived at the training camp, so make sure to do your best." River stepped up behind Kelly, smiling. "I hope little sister Emi can complete the training course without being eliminated. Let's go." Kelly and Vung Chung also turned to look at Ma Dong, standing there, and said, "Then let's get ready to set off." Ma Dong sighed, "Let's see. In the end, are you not planning to participate?" He smiled awkwardly and replied, "But I'm about to graduate as a strategist now." He turned to Baron beside him. So Baron, make sure to cover my part too, okay? Hearing this, he frowned and replied loudly, I know, Captain. Besides my parents, the captain is the only one who's been nice to me. Ma Dong, hearing this, chuckled lightly and added, It's nothing special. Just then, someone interrupted, Sister Hai Mian is here. Hearing this, he widened his eyes and immediately stopped talking, looking over. That person was the president of the mutant club, Hai Mian, who was walking towards them radiating light as she appeared. Dazzling like a movie star, Ma Dong looked at her, his mind racing with information. She possessed healing powers that any team would want to have. In terms of beauty and figure, Hai Mian ranked in the top 3 of the academy. Baron was captivated by Hai Mian's beauty. He stood there frozen while Ma Dong walked over, patted his shoulder, and said with a grin, Hey, it seems like she just looked your way, Baron. He was startled by this. Looking in that direction, it really seemed to be true. Ma Dong whispered, She's coming. But that little daydream ended in less than 3 seconds. Hai Mian walked straight past Baron, heading towards the person behind him, saying, This junior Antoine. Hai Mian cheerfully patted Christie's shoulder and asked, You're the junior from the military academy, right? It's true that seeing is believing during this training session. We can create some beautiful memories together. He quickly leaned to the side and awkwardly replied, Sorry, Sister Hai Mian, the training camp won't have such light moments. Ma Dong sighed, lamenting, This guy from the military academy is really foolish. If it were me. A strong aura radiated from behind him. Milano spoke up asking, What if it were you? Ma Dong turned around in fear, exclaiming, Mimi? At that moment, she seemed to be on fire. Soon after, he was chased by Milano. Ma Dong, you're thinking nonsense again, aren't you? He ran while explaining, Wait, let me explain. At this point, only Vuong Trong and Scarlet remained. She spoke up, asking Vuong Trong, You're really quiet this time. Are you planning to break the MVP of the training camp? No. He replied with a smile, How could that be? I just hope to do my best at everything. At that moment, someone got off the bus and asked, What are you all so happy about? The newcomer was Gray. She crossed her arms, her face serious, and said, Last year, in a regional match, our academy ranked 12th, and the media rated us as a third-rate academy. That's the level you all are currently at. Can you still comfortably flirt with each other? The War Dragon is just participating for the sake of it, huh? I don't care where you all come from. I don't care about your status or background. As long as you're here, you're my soldier, a part of the heroic academy. So, fight for the honor of protecting the academy. Got it. As soon as Ray finished, all the students quickly responded, raising their hands and saying, Got it. Then she ordered them to get on the bus. The students lined up neatly and boarded the bus, one by one. Adam then hurried over, saying, Captain, I'm sorry I'm late. River turned his head to look at him and asked, What happened that made you late like this, Adam? He replied that it was due to a little task from the vice president of Club 6. Hearing the reason, River said, All right, let's get in the car, quickly. We can't let our evaluation of the Holy Club drop after those cars leave. A person stood there clenching his fists in anger. The hostile gaze of the boy stared straight ahead as he said, Those freaks better watch out. Inside the car, silence enveloped them. Everyone sat together, but no one said a word. Vung Trung also sat quietly in his seat, gazing out at the scenery. The car quietly drove away from the training camp, passing through a door engraved with words from top to bottom. Christie, looking through the car window, spoke up. These doors are engraved with names of the heroes who protected the heavens from the Dark Ages until now. They continued to move. The others looked outside to enjoy the road. Suddenly, they became a bit curious and said, Is this the legendary Second World? The others, hearing this, excitedly responded, Look over there, a few kids are standing in the Free Federation. It seems prosperous, but every city has its hidden sides. Those without status or responsibility for crimes, along with the disabled, are exiled, concentrated in a poor area outside the city. Here, it's a different world from inside the city walls. Two different worlds. In the Free Federation, the strong still prey on the weak. Suddenly, someone pointed outside and said, Look at that guy, he has 3 legs. Adam laughed in amusement and replied, Looking at that body covered in sores makes me want to vomit. River felt a bit uncomfortable. He glanced at the two of them and said sternly, You two stop pointing and staring. What kind of behavior is that? Sit down. Baron just sat still with a gloomy face, thinking that if he hadn't awakened his soul power, his home would still be intact. Suddenly, a hand from someone placed on Baron's shoulder startled him, making him look up. It was Vung Trong, reminding Baron not to throw food to them. It would only cause chaos. Those small, weak children. Adam, sitting nearby, mocked, "Can you really feel sorry for them? Because you were just like that before, right?" Vung Trong shot him a glance, frowning in rebuttal. "No, I think you deserve more pity than him." Hearing this, he shouted, "What are you saying?" River raised his voice to cut off the argument between the two. "Adam, enough. Just sit still in your seat. Remember, we're going to training." "Not socializing." Baron showed some guilt. He looked at Vung Trong and quietly said, "Thank you, Senior Vung." Vung Trong looked at him, forced a smile, and said nothing. But then, his gaze became sadder as he looked out the window. The convoy continued to roll along the sunlit sandy road. In another compartment, someone was quietly watching every move of the students in the car. At this moment, the driver curiously asked, "Boss, which kid do you like?" "You keep staring." Ray's eyes were glued to Vung Trong on the screen. He leaned on his hand, saying, "His eyes can reveal a sense of sorrow. The sorrow is due to people's attitudes now." Is he really just a teenager in his teens? Soon they arrived at the next location. Chloe, the guard patrolling the camp, was waiting at the gate. The car stopped, and they got out one by one. A pair of boots touched the ground first when someone ran over, grinning widely to welcome them back. "Welcome back, boss," Ray said while walking. "I've brought this kid here." She continued speaking as she walked. "We can hear you clearly. These two will be your instructors." At the gate stood two muscular men waiting for the students of the Ray Academy. Looking at them, "They are my close associates, also the elite warriors of the righteous faction." She introduced them. "These are my brothers Marcos and Marcus." The two looked at her with confident expressions. "You kids get ready to receive our treats. You'll remember them for a lifetime." After a long while, Ray stood tall on the podium looking down to announce the training session. "Everyone has worked very hard over the past month. Next will be the real combat in the Chaos Lake area. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's in the Federal Restricted Area Level C." She frowned slightly, speaking seriously. "Tomorrow form groups of 5 to complete. The final training will be there. Everyone go home and rest well today." "Understood?" she asked, looking up before sighing. "This month has felt so long." Remembering the earlier scene, River and everyone felt astonished when they looked at the food on the table. On the first night, they had eaten a huge bowl of rice and turned into mice with all the leftovers. Then everyone was suddenly attacked with water, which startled them. In the middle of the night, they were bombarded with water balloons for an hour or during those hot outdoor training sessions. The desert cat was then like a heavy burden running a long distance. The girl forced a small smile and muttered softly, "Still can't use my soul power. I'm really exhausted." In Emily's mind, images of Wang Zhong and Christy, who were always trying hard, quickly appeared. But Wang Zhong and Bing Li seemed to be swept away by a gust of wind. Not only was he the first to run, but Adam and Terrence also looked miserable, crying like rain. They were dealing with Adam and Terrence, two guys who wanted to ambush her. The girl was with Scarlett. Just like that, they smiled brightly at each other and walked away. The guy and he stood from afar, gritting their teeth in anger. Adam quietly cursed the damn freaks. At that moment, he suddenly grinned in a strange way. He thought to himself, "But you can only laugh until now." The war god stood in front of Adam and spoke, "Adam, this time I have no way out. But for you, there's still a chance to secure a position." He raised an eyebrow with a sly smile and said, "Although the content of the training camp is confidential, the village chief has revealed it to me. Phase 2 of the combat training will likely take place in the forbidden area." The war god took out a piece of paper, held it up, glanced at it, and said, "And the closest forbidden area to here is the area of the chaotic lake. By then you won't be able to use your heavenly skills. I've arranged some personnel all written in here. You just need to." Adam confidently pointed at himself and exclaimed, "Got it. Just leave it to me." After hearing him recount, Terrence grinned savagely and muttered, "So that's how it is." The two of them laughed ominously and quickly proceeded with their plan. The freaks would be the show at that time. Meanwhile, in the deep forest, Wang Zhong's group was moving along the path. Everyone was chattering. It turned out that the night person only came alone, which was Sister Hai Mien. The powerful members of the celestial realm are not many, Scarlet said, resting her hands on her hips. She looked at everyone and spoke, although I was selected for the training camp, it's also because there are relatively few night people. Combat is not really my strong suit. Then she quickly moved to Christie's side and said, if we encounter danger, please ask Bing Li to protect me. He smiled gently and replied, okay, sister, I will definitely do my best. Baron, standing nearby, was also a bit anxious and stammered, Sister Hai Mien. I will also try my best. Scarlet looked over at him and praised, Baron, you're really cute. Deep in the forest, a sudden voice rang out. Are you the ones the 6 leaders are looking for? Immediately, a voice responded, no worries. A man with both hands in his pockets grinned with delight and said, don't worry. No one knows this forbidden area better than us. We're definitely going to stir up some unexpected trouble. Adam, at this moment, stood across from that guy, slightly raising an eyebrow in annoyance. What's the final content? It's all part of this training session. The goal is to hunt low-level mutant beasts. If they want to achieve good results, they'll have to venture deep into the forbidden area. The man looked at him with a sly grin and spoke. Your 6 bosses have already paid half the amount. Once the job is done, they'll pay the rest. We value trust in our business dealings. On the other side, the forest was unusually quiet. A soft voice echoed, it's too quiet. It's been a while now. And we still haven't spotted any mutated beasts. Wang looked around and asked, Emily, have you noticed anything? Emily, her face glistening with sweat, looked up and replied, I've checked within a 1-kilometer radius. There's nothing at all. It's really strange. Christie approached from a distance, holding something in her hand. She gently called out to Wang, Scholar, this communication device was provided by the instructor for emergencies. She raised an electronic device and said, Suddenly, there's no signal. He was stunned when he heard Christie say something. Unexpectedly, Scarlet spoke up hesitatingly, exclaiming, Do you guys smell something really fragrant? Christie suddenly became distant. Her eyes shut tight as she cried out. Before she could finish her sentence, her whole body collapsed onto the ground. Everyone was shocked and exclaimed in unison. Christie lay still on the ground, unable to move. Her face showed a pained expression as she said, This is mandala pollen. Sorry, I'm very sensitive to this smell. I'm about to be unable to move anymore. Wang furrowed his brow, looking around, reminding everyone to be cautious as something was approaching. After hearing his command, everyone quickly became alert, observing from the shadows. Thousands of red eyes gradually appeared. A mutated red spider emerged from the darkness. It suddenly appeared from the shadows. Upon seeing it, Wang hesitated slightly, gritting his teeth, thinking, this is a mutated red spider. Moreover, they are all level 2 mutated beasts. It bared its sharp fangs, producing a strange sound. Right after that, the entire swarm of mutated red spiders charged forward to attack. Scarlet, standing in front, shouted seriously, Form up and cover the rear. Right where Christie lay, a protective barrier appeared around her. Seeing this, the monster quickly jumped up. For a moment, Baron rushed in with all his strength. He swung a punch directly at a nearby mutated red spider. Baron then took a step back, clenching his fists tightly, shouting, I won't let you get close to my teammates. However, a mutated red spider suddenly lunged up from behind him. Quickly, Emily moved in to support. The girl swung her knife, taking it down. Seeing the mutated red spider lying still, she swiftly pulled the knife out. The girl held the knife defensively, turning to say, The weak points of the spider are its joints and eyes. Brother Wang taught me that. Leave it to me from behind Baron. At this moment, Baron also looked a bit worried, beads of cold sweat forming on his face as he replied, Got it. Baron was a bit worried at this moment, his face breaking out in a cold sweat as he replied, Got it. Be careful, classmate. Scarlet stepped forward and offered, I'll help too. Before she could finish her sentence, Wang Zhong charged ahead, drawing his bow and aiming straight, then released the arrow. Just like that, the red mutated spider's eyes were hit by Wang Zhong's arrow. Scarlet was stunned, her eyes wide in disbelief. So powerful, is this really the humiliation of the command system? Suddenly, he glanced back and while fighting urgently said, Sister, focus on taking care of Bing Li. Let him recover quickly. She was startled and replied, Got it. Sources of power surged forth, and a great fire burned all the mutated red spiders with the Fire Dance Lotus technique. But no matter what, everyone was quickly overwhelmed by their sheer numbers, worriedly exclaiming, There are still so many. At this moment, everyone was exhausted. Emily was out of breath, trying to say, "Damn it, so many." Very quickly, a sharp foot like a knife descended, and the entire body of the mutated red spider appeared. Wang Zhong's face turned dark. He gritted his teeth worriedly, thinking, sure enough, where there are mandala flowers, it attracts the symbiotic red spiders. The eyes of the mutated red spider lit up. It bared its sharp teeth and lunged at Christy. Over here, she leaned against a nearby tree and said, "This is a level 5 mutated creature, the red spider leader." Scarlet hesitated and softly called for Bing Li. He tightly closed his eyes, his face straining to move, thinking, I still can't move smoothly. Senior, a giant mutated red spider, is lunging at everyone. Wang Zhong, who had been calm earlier, now said in a low voice, "In a moment. I'll create an escape route to the East Master Sea Dream. Get them out of here. I'll lure them away, and then you turn around. Leave a brief reminder, we must survive." Emily shouted in fear, calling out to Wang Zhong. You turned your head slightly, looking at Scarlet, and spoke up, pleading with Master Sea Dream. "Please, Master." She quickly stood up straight, seriously assigning tasks to Baron. "Carry the soldiers and follow Baron and Christy gently," she replied clearly. She confidently patted her chest and answered, "When Wang Zhong attacks, we will immediately break through the eastern encirclement." After arranging everything, you raised your bow, aiming forward. Quietly reminding yourself, remember, I will definitely meet everyone in the east. 4 different arrows flew swiftly, piercing straight into the eyes of the 4 spiders rushing toward you. The smoke spread quickly, then gradually dissipated after the attack. You lifted your face slightly smiling, with a hint of fear, mumbling, "Next, it's just me." Wang Zhong quickly stood in front of the mutated red spider, looking at it, and exclaiming, "A level 5 mutated beast." In the distance, the other 3 quickly used all their strength to run away. The mutated red spiders followed closely behind. One of them suddenly flew high, preparing to land right on Emily, but it was quickly knocked away. After receiving a surprise punch from Barry, the mutated red spider flew straight back. He was tired, breathing heavily, trying to raise his shield to block. Baron held the shield firmly, his face showing a serious expression as he shouted, "Master Sea Dream, your student is leaving. I will be the shield for everyone. You two take care of the soldiers and go." Over here, Emily was still focused, swinging her knife to eliminate the mutated red spiders attacking her. She turned her head, slightly frowning, and said, "Everyone hurry up and go. I will cut off their tails after killing all these beasts. I want to find Wang Zhong." At this moment, Christy was unable to move. She could only silently cheer for everyone. "You all hang in there. Just a little longer. We will be able to." A mutated red spider with a horrifying grin lunged at you. The battle was still undecided. You hesitated for a moment, then charged straight ahead without looking back. If I'm not mistaken, from afar, light filtered through and shone directly on your face, then that mandala flower must be growing nearby. The moment Vung Chong stepped out, the shape of a large, beautiful flower stood silently waiting for him. He whispered to himself, "The mutated red spider is screaming in horror." Its red eyes surged up. Vung Trong jumped straight in without warning, feeling ecstatic inside. He was going crazy. This flower was indeed very important to him. Let's take a risk and attack it. Right after that, a huge explosion erupted mysteriously, creating a white cloud above the old stone floor. Water stains quickly appeared, increasing in number, and Baron could no longer hold on. He fell freely. His whole body seemed to sense and think, "Is this what death feels like?" After a while, he suddenly opened his eyes wide, furrowing his brows in astonishment. The ceiling looked like a cosmic space with many wounds from domestic violence. He shouted loudly, "But I still can't fall." The previous scene flooded back. A sudden voice rang out, asking loudly, "Baron, did you have instant noodles for dinner?" Still the special 2 ate right. Ma Dong excitedly pulled Baron outside, shouting, "Let's go lie rye with me." Or those moments chatting with Emily, the girl blushingly revealed her secret. "Baron, I really like Vung Trong, but he always treats me like a child." The image of Christy always inviting him came to mind. "Baron, let's go to the club." The gossip around them also rose. "Isn't that the new king?" This year? Billy? Is his relationship with Baron that good? Finally, the image of Vung Trong appeared with a determined look, encouraging Baron, "Believe in yourself. You can definitely become stronger." The closed mold immediately shattered into pieces. His whole body ignited, wrapped in a source of power. He clenched his fists and shouted, thinking, "It's the dignity that everyone gives us to live like a human. So I must." Emily looked over in shock, unconsciously exclaiming at the rapid increase of that demonic power. Baron kissed his brother. He continuously swung his fists at high speed, reassuring himself, "I can feel it now." This is what the scholar Vung said about the two-weight force. He raised his fist high to the sky, his head following, shouting loudly, "Baron, lower your hand!" His face darkened, his hand still smoking, murmuring, "I did it." He smiled softly, feeling satisfied, his voice slightly trembling. "I protected everyone." Just after finishing his words, Baron collapsed to the ground. Emily fearfully shouted, "Baron!" She could no longer resist kneeling on the ground, holding a knife in one hand, gritting her teeth softly. "I have no strength left. Do I really have to die while still a virgin?" On this side, Scarlet was constantly worried, but forced to smile, saying, "This girl is interesting. Although she's an assassin, she doesn't have much of the arrogance of a noble descendant. Sister, I like you. If there's a next life, we will definitely be good sisters." Now she and Christy were already surrounded by hundreds of mutated red spiders, and could do nothing. They rushed straight to attack Scarlet, who was so scared that she tightly shut her eyes. Suddenly, a beam of light shot across unexpectedly, and each mutated red spider was cut in half. Scarlet's eyes welled up with tears as she slightly opened them, wondering why she wasn't dead. At this moment, Christy, with a serious face, quickly replied, "Sister, I'm fine. I'm here." He stood right in front of her to protect her. Christy was engulfed in a massive surge of power. He frowned slightly and seriously said, "You dare to take advantage of my immobility to harm my teammate." "You haven't even finished your sentence." Sharp cuts were unleashed as Christy swung her sword confidently. "Eliminate all those mutated red spiders. Not a single one should hope to survive here." On the other side, in a dark space, a stuttering voice with a hint of trembling spoke up, "Your Majesty." Finally, if greatness is to be achieved, the vision must be opened. But the gaze still carries a hint of uncertainty. Simba brought his face close, laughing aloud. "Little King, are you going to admit it or not? I'm the boss." Wang Zhong sat up, looking at Simba in front of him, suddenly exclaiming, "Simba, you're awake." Inside the quiet space, bright and sparkling with floating rocks in midair, he stood with Simba looking up and asking, "What is this place?" In the beautiful cosmic space, a small mound of earth appeared. He looked a bit confused, raised his hand to his forehead. Then Wang Zhong turned to him and said, "I remember being chased by the Red Spider King. Then I ran to a huge belladonna plant. After that, there was a very strong light." "Right, Simba, how did you end up here?" Simba grinned mischievously, reaching out to tease, "Are you stupid, little Wang Zhong?" He lifted his chin, smiling with confidence. No wonder the great Simba could appear here. That says it all. Hearing this, Wang Zhong was a bit surprised, exclaiming, "This is the fifth dimension." He quickly pointed his finger in front of him, excitedly shouting, "Bingo, that's right." He hesitated a bit, glancing around the space before speaking. "Normally this would be a great opportunity, but right now I have urgent matters to attend to." Wang Zhong looked up high, and Simba suddenly spoke, "How should we talk about this?" His face was already dripping with sweat as he replied, "I'm really worried about the safety of my teammates. Although I lured the Red Spider King away, there are probably still many small spiders following them." In his mind, he quickly imagined his teammates struggling to fend off the attacks. At that moment, he clenched his fists and sighed softly. "Are you feeling a bit slow?" Then Simba pointed in a direction and said, "Look at those stones floating in the sky." Wang Zhong turned his gaze to the flying rocks hovering in the distance. He shouted seriously, "These stone pillars have a predictable trajectory. Could it be that this floating phenomenon has a gravitational force?" Simba, unable to contain his excitement, pointed forward and said, "Bring your soul's essence and harmonize it here. The Fate Stone will guide you." Hearing this, Wang Zhong quickly followed suit, spreading his arms and responding, "Got it. Let me try it right away." Then a powerful surge of energy erupted in the space, enveloping each layer, weaving its way up, claiming the floating stones. After that, an explosion erupted, sending everything flying away. A dazzling light burst forth. Wang Zhong, surprised, hesitated, and exclaimed, "This radiance! Could it be the Fate Stone?" In the dark forest, the mutated red spider was still waiting to attack. Suddenly, a flash of light darted by quickly. It widened its eyes in shock, staring at his figure. Slowly stepping out, he said, "Destroying the poison is really something I don't want to do." He frowned, clenched his fists, mumbling, "I didn't mean to disturb you. But my teammates are in danger. Their lives are at stake." So he hesitated, the power gradually accumulating in his hand as Wang Zhong swung his fist. He dashed straight towards the mutated red spider, throwing a punch right in its face. After a moment of hesitation, the hit was so strong that it nearly shattered all the bones in Wang Zhong's arm. He widened his eyes, furrowing his brows, and shouted, "Disappear! Give me back!" The powerful collision caused it to explode quickly, creating a tremendous pressure. Soon after, a massive explosion erupted high in the forest. Scarlet peeked in, her face filled with surprise, exclaiming joyfully, "Wang Zhong, you're awake! That's great!" Seeing her standing still, Wang Zhong tried to speak, each word coming out with difficulty as he asked, "Classmate Scarlet." He frowned in suspicion, his gentle voice ringing out as he tried to move his body. "Is this a hospital?" A sharp pain from his arm suddenly hit him, causing him to gasp. Seeing this, Scarlet hesitated to explain, her face full of confusion. On that training practice day, suddenly a massive surge of energy appeared. Remembering the scene of Vung Trong lying weakly in the deep pit, her voice instinctively softened, filled with worry. When Trainer Gray and the others arrived, they only saw him fallen in a large hole. Vung Trong was silent for a moment, as if struggling with his thoughts. Then he slowly spoke up, asking, "What about Christy Bingley and the others?" In Scarlet's mind, the images of that day resurfaced clearly. She heard that Master Hai Mian had worked hard to treat him, so Christy Bingley had recovered. He tried to turn the situation around. He defeated all the little spiders and managed to save them. As everyone spoke halfway, she mentioned Baron, who was being examined on the other side. Hesitating, she continued, but Baron that day, to protect others, unleashed power beyond his limits. Scarlet sadly finished each word, carrying a part of her pain. It couldn't be fully expressed. Moreover, Hai's soul was severely injured, making recovery difficult. Vung Trong glanced over, worry evident on his face. "Is that so?" At this moment, she suddenly spoke up, breaking the heavy atmosphere. Also, the scene of Gray coming to deal with that group gradually emerged. Through Scarlet's recounting, Trainer Gray had sent people to search. They checked the chaotic area and caught the group, causing radar interference, then lured the red spiders closer to them. Mentioning the students from the Saint Talent Club, they were tightly bound and kneeling to one side. Her voice instinctively turned cold. They confessed they were ordered by the 6 war gods. At that moment, the war god went mad, rushing in to blame River. Scarlet scoffed, recounting the incident with disdain. The 6 war god argued that through River's intelligence, they could act against them so smoothly. But due to insufficient evidence, River still wasn't punished and was only expelled from the Heavenly Academy. His resentful gaze and determined silhouette kept appearing in her mind, making her voice choke. It seemed she couldn't continue speaking. He only left behind a sentence, "You will regret this." After hearing the story, Vung Trong struggled to sit up. His voice was weak but resolute. "All right. It's good to find the mastermind behind this, but we still have to be wary of someone stabbing us in the back. I want to visit Baron first." In the long, quiet corridor of the hospital, only the flickering lights from the patient rooms illuminated the silent space, creating a feeling of desolation and loneliness. He saw 2 people, Scarlet, approaching him. Their unexpected appearance surprised him, given the situation. Baron looked confused, glancing over several times before asking with a hint of worry, "Senior, you're awake." Hearing this, his gaze softened for a moment as he lowered his head and gently spoke, "Baron, I've heard everything." He sadly bowed his head, his voice soft as if those confessions were the hardest to express. "Is that so? But I don't regret it. Everyone can survive together. It's really great to be back. It's just that from now on, I can't fight alongside you guys anymore." As he said this, Baron suddenly broke into a self-deprecating smile, both bitter and gentle, then muttered, "But the school will probably provide me with a living allowance. Moreover, it will ensure my family's citizenship. I feel that's good enough." Without hesitation, Vung Trong immediately questioned, as if not allowing any delay. Without hesitation, Wang Zhong immediately questioned, as if not allowing any delay. "Do you really think that's good enough? Vung Trong Kao, you're not satisfied." Looking at him coldly, you made a suggestion, as if there was nothing more to negotiate. "Baron, if I say I can restore your soul, but only with a 50% success rate, Do you want to give it a try? Immediately, Baron lifted his head in shock, loudly confirming, Is there really hope, Senior? I'm seeing. So, no matter how dangerous it is, I want to take the risk just this once. That decisive agreement made Vung Trong smile with satisfaction to the point of immediately giving instructions. All right then, make sure to eat well and rest up while waiting for my good news. He was so excited that he responded loudly, Senior! A moment later, under the clear blue sky, a voice cautiously rang out, slightly flustered. Vung Trong, I know you want to comfort Baron, but all the doctors here have given up. She walked behind, hesitating as she analyzed, as if every word needed careful consideration. Moreover, the medicine that can restore the soul is extremely rare, and it doesn't come cheap at all. Not everyone can afford that amount of money. You didn't hesitate to agree. I know all of this. As soon as the words left your mouth, Vung Trong's gaze immediately turned cold, and your heart firmly affirmed the certainty. But I also have a trump card in this space. The energy needed to awaken the Fate Stone has absorbed a lot. Just thinking about that Fate Wheel. Vung Trong couldn't help but feel a sense of regret. It was so close to moving again. Perhaps just one more battle would do it. Although to restore Simba, it would take a little longer, but it could break through the obstacles for my soul power. Then Baron's soul could definitely be healed. The dim light from the large screen cast down, illuminating the raised arms and the excited cheers. It ignited the lively atmosphere. Only the powerful Vung Jia below a boy couldn't hide his skepticism, spoke up with a doubtful tone. Aren't you afraid of your sister? The other person laughed loudly and explained in a cheerful tone, My sister is now part of the Vung Jia fan club with me. Then suddenly shouted out. On the big screen, the majestic figure of Vung Trong appeared, causing the atmosphere to explode in astonishment. The Vung Jia has arrived, the powerful Vung Jia. Just a second later, a smaller frame unexpectedly appeared, startling the entire room into silence that lingered until someone hesitantly broke it. That person was the famous MC of the elite. Duan Nguni smiled gently and greeted all the audience. Hello everyone, I'm Tran Nguni. This battle of the powerful Vung Jia will be broadcast live to you all. The entire audience erupted immediately. The atmosphere became noisy and lively. Our Vung Jia is amazing. The upper authorities even sent an MC here. Our Vung Jia family is also benefiting from this. Along with the loud cheers, the screen suddenly lit up, revealing a strong figure. The opponent has entered the arena. A warrior in battle attire, a person with extraordinary abilities and very well known in the Te Ku La Chan, appeared with a victorious smile and a chiseled face. Then came in Nguni's sweet voice. It left the whole venue in awe. Vu Fong Chin-doi La Chan, hello La Chan. Do you have anything to say for today's battle? After hearing this, he couldn't help but sneer, responding with contempt. I'm not targeting anyone, but I just want to say, even if there are many cannon fodders, trash is still trash. No matter who the opponent is, we will crush him to pieces. Lachan laughed loudly, spouting arrogant words, unable to hide his self-satisfaction. I see a lot of cattle flying in the sky tonight. The Federation even has beef for sale. The audience collectively got angry, shouting in protest. Have all the experts died? Why is Nguni only interviewing that braggart? Let's interview the prince, shall we? Let the prince drop a bomb and take him down. Isn't that right? Seeing the title in our prince's name. How dare you speak such reckless words? Are you looking for trouble? Amidst the noise, a cold mechanical voice suddenly rang out, causing the atmosphere to quiet down. In the chaotic battlefield, weapons were randomly scattered, and bare hands faced off in a tense standoff. Nguni excitedly led the story about the match, her voice full of enthusiasm. All right, the outcome is left to chance. Bare hands against bare hands. According to the system's random weapon judgment, the probability of bare hands appearing is about 30%. Compared to the thousands of weapons in the arsenal, the chance of bare hands is definitely the highest. This is just a little note. Suddenly, a bright red light flashed in La Chan's eyes, and the thermal image of Vung Trong immediately appeared, blending with her excited commentary. As La Chan stepped onto the field, he used a life-sensing ability. This is an excellent auxiliary power that Earth ability users can cultivate. Simply put, it allows you to see through the life energy of your opponent and assess their strengths and weaknesses. From there, you can target the opponent's vulnerabilities. When your darkened elbow was magnified on screen, Ngu couldn't help but doubt it and immediately exclaimed, "What's going on here?" On the battlefield, Lachan quickly identified the weakness. He cracked his knuckles with a mocking smile, his eyes clearly showing self-satisfaction. "Your right arm is already out of commission. And yet you still dare to step onto the battlefield injured. But I won't go easy on you." Just as his words finished, the entire audience fell silent in shock. Nguni squinted her eyes and then calmly made a sharp assessment. Only a strong prince would bring his unhealed wounds into the arena. Fighting like this doesn't seem like a wise decision. After all, this is a battle of elite contenders. Vung Trong, on the other side, raised his hand to signal a challenge. Nguni saw that scene and couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, "The strong prince has signaled for a duel. He doesn't care about entering the match while injured." He showed no fear, laughing derisively, and then charged forward, quickly taking the initiative. "Don't be too arrogant." The two rushed at each other, their fists colliding with a tremendous impact that shook everything around. Lachan showed no sign of pain. On the contrary, he roared with excitement, his eyes blazing with challenge. "Not enough." He gritted his teeth, his body tense, and then unleashed a series of powerful punches. Each punch seemed to tear through space. Lachan, on the opposite side, showed no hesitation. Swinging his fist to meet the blows, his eyes ignited with an undeniable thrill. Amidst the flurry of punches, Vung Trong couldn't react in time and quickly found himself at a disadvantage. He missed his block against Lachan's punch, and immediately a loud crash echoed. It was as if everything around was awakened. He gritted his teeth, still in an attacking stance, channeling his strength to send Vung Trong crashing into the cliff, creating a terrifying impact. The entire audience seemed to hold their breath. A sound echoed, and the commentators were at a loss for words, overwhelmed with anxiety. After regaining her composure, Nguni couldn't hide her shock, and she blurted out in astonishment, "This is too dangerous. Under Lachan's frenzied attacks, could the strong prince really not hold on any longer?" The screen suddenly displayed a scene of him lying among the shattered rocks, his body motionless, a dazed expression amidst the terrible destruction, while Lachan's mocking and frenzied taunts rang out. Suddenly, it hit like a punch in the air, breaking the tense silence. "Is that all you've got? Give it a little more strength." As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his fist high, power swirling around it like a storm, and then a powerful shout echoed, shaking the entire arena. "Ultimate skill, earthquake strike." The shockwave immediately activated the seismic power, and in an instant, his punch shattered the ground beneath him. Water surged forth like an earthquake. Once, a powerful shockwave crashed in, and Vung Trong was swept away like a wave, the force threatening to engulf everything. All Nguni could do was watch in awe. Her heart felt like it was being squeezed. She couldn't help but scream in horror. Lachan had unleashed the power of the earth. On the other side, he gritted his teeth silently, deciding that the only way was to jump. As the shockwave hit the rock, Vung Trong wasted no time, channeling all his strength into his legs and launching himself into the air like an arrow, witnessing the scene unfold. He couldn't hold back. He burst into a hearty laugh and shouted, "I've been waiting for this moment." His predatory demeanor rushing toward Nguni startled her, and she screamed in a worried tone, "Lachan has jumped too!" It was unbelievable that with his physique he could move so fast. In a split second, Lachan closed in, startling him. He reached out and grabbed Vung Trong tightly, shouting with excitement, "Got you!" He wouldn't let this opportunity slip away. Quickly, he pressed his knee against Vung Trong's arm and roared with delight, "I want your left arm!" The two of them crashed down to the ground with tremendous force, creating a violent tremor that bent the air around them amid the thick smoke. He stood tall and laughed triumphantly. His laughter echoed throughout the space. "Try being arrogant again. Let's see." Vung Trong's twisted arm horrified all the onlookers, and the panicked screams seemed to tear through the air. "This is bad." The left arm of the mighty warrior was broken. Now both arms were unusable. This is too dangerous. On the other side, Lachan looked up at the sky, his eyes full of self-satisfaction, commanding in a tone of disdain and arrogance. "The martial arts you were so proud of can't be used anymore. Why don't you just admit defeat?" Watching him stand firm despite being pressured, he narrowed his eyes slightly, a contemplative look in his gaze. "Looks like you still want to fight." Saying that, he quickly channeled all his power into his arms, his eyes blazing with killing intent. The excited smile turned even more ruthless as he declared, "All right, I'll grant your wish. I will crush your body." Lachan, a second too late, swung his fist forward, the roar erupting like a predatory beast, a seismic shockwave in this perilous situation. Vung Trong showed no signs of worry, just gritting his teeth and smiling confidently, muttering, "Using all your energy to attack, huh?" He kicked out as fast as lightning, then without hesitation loudly mocked, "You're really wasting your earth powers." In an instant, a powerful kick struck La Chan in the stomach, causing him to widen his eyes in pain, unable to breathe, his body folding from the impact, Vung Trong's gaze as cold as ice. His eyes never left La Chan's pale face as if he were looking at a defeated opponent. Ngu Nyi witnessed this scene. Trembling, she stood up in horror, stammering, "Is that a leg?" The mighty warrior had used his leg to unleash his ultimate move, the three waves technique. Should it be called three-wave kick? Just one strike pierced through Lachan, losing both arms and still being able to do that. Indeed, he was incredibly powerful. His massive body fell with a thud. Only the cold voice of the system echoed, declaring that only the strongest would prevail. I looked at you standing tall and steady like a mountain. The crowd couldn't contain their joy and erupted in cheers for the victorious ruler. The image of the fate wheel flashed in the mind of the ruler. Your gaze became deep and contemplative. As if you were pondering something important, the fate wheel could finally be used. Just after the match ended, the ruler approached the door of Baron's hospital room. The unexpected appearance startled him, leaving him momentarily speechless as he noticed your tightly bandaged arm. He immediately threw off the covers and sat up, unable to hide the tension in his voice. "Senior, it's so late." You didn't respond, but looked at Baron with a serious expression, finally asking, "Baron, do you trust me?" Without hesitation, Baron replied loudly with determination, his words resonating with confidence. "Of course, I absolutely trust you, Senior." He could feel the resolve in your eyes. The ruler, without a moment's pause, asked seriously in return, "Even if it could affect your life?" As soon as the words left your lips, Baron froze, his body stiffening. His eyes widened, unable to look away from you. He fell silent for a moment, then finally lowered his head, his serious voice breaking the silence. "Senior, you might be the one who understands me best. My current condition is no different from being dead. Even though I'm lying in bed just thinking about that battle, I feel a surge of passion. I protected everyone, and that makes me very proud. I've never felt this confident before." As he said this, Baron raised his head, his eyes filled with determination as he looked at you. A faint smile appeared on his lips before he spoke. "That's why I don't want to be a useless person anymore. I want to become a warrior. Whether I live or die." After a moment of silence, the ruler slowly spoke, his voice steady but firm. "I understand." "Then I won't waste any more words. You summon the fate wheel." The dark spinning table appeared in the space, accompanied by a soft sound. "Good luck." As the ruler gave the command, the clock hands immediately began to move. Each tick felt like a sign, heralding what was about to happen as the fate wheel activated. Time seemed to freeze for a moment. Everything around was frozen. You frowned silently, telling yourself, "Spin the wheel of fate." After a while, the urgent and worried call of Simba suddenly broke the silence around the ruler, shattering the stillness. Amidst the flickering embers, the ruler suddenly sat up. With an expression of surprise that he couldn't hide, he questioned loudly, "Simba, where are we? Baron, has your condition recovered?" He grinned confidently, full of triumph, and replied with certainty, "Don't worry, that big guy has been saved. But because you've exhausted all your strength, he's currently in a comatose state. The Fate Stone has released the seal, and your soul has connected with it. So he has been summoned too." The ruler stared blankly at his arm, unable to tear his eyes away from it, mumbling as confusion surged within him. "So that's why I'm in a soul state right now. No wonder the wound on my arm has healed." Simba looked around and then reminded you indifferently, "This isn't the arena like before. It's actually a very dangerous place." Just as he finished speaking, a distant volcano suddenly awakened. Lava erupted, high flames bursting forth brilliantly, creating a terrifying scene. Facing the gigantic monster surrounded by raging fire, its gaze was as cold as stone. His voice gradually became softer. "For example, there might be level 8 or higher creatures appearing. Seeing the situation was unstable, the ruler slowly turned his head, his expression tense as he asked in a trembling tone, "It seems like we've disturbed someone." And then, the only sound echoing in the silent space was the desperate screams of two people as the blazing fire engulfed them. Moments later, he jolted awake, crying out in fear. Suddenly, he paused, filled with doubt. "That was terrifying, but I'm okay now." Simba sighed heavily and replied, "Because your soul is protected by fate. At this level, you won't be destroyed." Suddenly, the king paused, filled with suspicion, glancing around. His voice clearly showed doubt, but out of nowhere, a gigantic dragon appeared in the heavy atmosphere. Its gaze was filled with brutality, leaving the two standing frozen, questioning what was happening. As the massive iceberg weighed down, he shouted in anger and frustration, "This is just ridiculous!" In an instant, a gasp of astonishment echoed, revealing surprise in every sound. How strange! How could this be? The king slowly regained consciousness, still surrounded by a dreamy feeling, mumbling in a daze. Then the excited voice of the doctor rang out. "Baron, my dear, has fully recovered." Upon hearing this, he felt like he was melting with happiness. Tears and snot streaming down, he kept mumbling, "The senior really cured me." He couldn't help but gaze at the scene. A gentle smile spread across his face as he quietly thought, "That's wonderful, Baron." At that moment, a strange blue energy surged from his body, making him feel joy. It seemed like his body was also improving. Although he had been tormented terribly, he clenched his fists, feeling the heavy weight in his heart, unable to help but sigh. But because of that, his soul seemed to be tempered as well. Looking at the blue soul energy wrapping around him like a strong protective layer, he felt confident, estimating that his soul energy had made a breakthrough. "I've reached 70 ways of cultivation already." A few days later, congratulations filled the room, and the atmosphere was filled with joy and celebration. "Congratulations, Baron, on your full recovery and discharge. Also, congratulations to the newly united Heavenly Team, with Scarlet as the captain." Soon after, Ma Dong appeared, a radiant smile on his face, taking on the leader role, followed by the Milano team, along with the presence of two assassins, Emily and Kelly, and the trio of warriors, Lily the King, and the healer, Hai Mien. And the main warrior, Christy, appeared with a bright smile lighting up the whole space. Above all, it was still the king who held the position of the main leader. The 9 of them raised their hands in unison, shouting together, creating a lively and spirited sound. "Heavenly Team, let's go!" After a while, within the closed room, a suppressed roar suddenly erupted from the two kings. While he was fiddling with something, a voice suddenly rang out, filled with suspicion, making his heart leap. "Why are you messing with that wheel, Wang Zhong?" Quickly turning to look at the newcomer, Ma Dong asked, "Aren't you and Milano going to register for the team?" Hearing this, he shrugged and sighed, trying to explain calmly. Mimi went to pick up her cousin. "She just happened to come to Heavenly Team for a little visit. They'll be here soon. The registration can wait." It seems Scarlet went to pick them up too. Just then a voice came from the open door, immediately catching Ma Dong's attention. "Over here! This is our team's training room. Please feel free to follow." The exclamation was about the massive hill dominating the view of the newcomers. "It's not small here, is it?" He saw this and his eyes widened in shock, and he shouted while hurriedly trying to stop his nosebleed. "This size is really not small at all." Milano suddenly stepped forward, annoyed, reminding him in a displeased tone, "Ma Dong, don't make a fuss." Then she smiled brightly, extending her hand toward Summer to introduce her warmly. "Let me introduce you. This is my cousin, the captain of the Fire Flame team, Summer." She confidently smiled and greeted, "Hello, everyone." The familiar name just slipped out, and Ma Dong immediately widened his eyes in shock, exclaiming in a startled voice, "Nam Kao Vung ML." At this moment, Mario timidly opened his mouth, his voice shy but trying hard to articulate each word. "Hello, I'm Mario." She couldn't help but be amazed, continuously exclaiming, "And there's even the Dark Sorcerer of the Dark Flame, the dual attribute Mario." At that moment, Scarlet stepped forward. She flashed a gentle smile, showing goodwill. The Fireface team has always been among the top strong teams on the leaderboard. This time, both the captain and vice-captain came to visit. It wasn't easy at all. There might be more time to interact together. "Nismar soy." Ma Dong listened while smirking, creepily mumbling words only he understood. "We should interact." A captivating tattoo image flashed in his mind along with a sultry voice. Seeing the way his brother-in-law was lost in love, Wang Zhong sighed helplessly as a reminder. As if wanting to pull his mind back to reality, Ma Dong thought, people come from afar, not for 7 ceremonies. Meanwhile, Scarlet excitedly raised her hand to introduce, this is a member of the Heavenly Classics. Our team, the vice captain of the eccentric my classmate Wang Zhong. Just as he stepped forward and raised his hand to greet, the image of the strong prince unconsciously appeared behind him. It's an honor, my captain is Wang Zhong. In front of that scene, Samo was astonished, her eyes wide open in disbelief. Seeing that face, she was puzzled, slowly inquiring as if cautiously testing the waters. What's wrong? She suddenly came to her senses, hurriedly shook hands while explaining, it's nothing, just a bit dazed. Saying that, she suddenly broke into a bright smile, enthusiastically asking which made the atmosphere around them cheerful. By the way, classmate Wang Zhong, do you know the strong prince? Hearing that familiar name, he froze, his heart racing as he hesitated to respond, trying to control his emotions. The strong prince, I know him. Suddenly, why? Blushing and embarrassed, he expressed his feelings with a voice full of confusion but sincerity. Actually, I'm a fan of the strong prince. It's a pity that in this outfit he's also wearing glasses. It covers his face. If only I could know his true identity, I would really want to be his girlfriend. Hearing that, Wang Zhong's eyes widened in shock, speechless. Meanwhile, Ma Dong was screaming wildly, wow, isn't this a bit too bold? Seeing the strange demeanor of the other person, the tattooed eyes suddenly dimmed in confusion, clearly showing on his face. What's with this reaction? She quickly turned to ask her classmate Scarlet, I have a request. Scarlet immediately responded, go ahead. With the astonished gaze of Wang Zhong, she smiled brightly, cheerfully making a suggestion for the remaining journey. I want to invite Wang, the vice captain, to be my guide. Is that okay? Wang Zhong smiled awkwardly, trying to decline. I really appreciate your invitation, Miss Samo, but I have to attend class in a bit. Ma Dong immediately chimed in, don't worry about it. I'll take care of that. You just take the guest on a tour. Summer immediately seized the opportunity, grabbing Wang Zhong's hand and pulling him away. Thanks, Captain Ma, let's go. He could only awkwardly blurt out, wait. She ignored his weak protest, turning back to remind Mario a few things. By the way, Mario, you don't need to follow me. You can just go have fun by yourself. He whispered clearly. On the way, she kept chattering non-stop. Classmate Wang Zhong, you've wasted his class time. I know it's a bit forced, but I did that on purpose. Wang Zhong also engaged in conversation. Captain M is usually this straightforward when talking. She walked while glancing back, laughing and joking. That's right. My style is always simple and straightforward. Do you want to know why? Vung Trong was pulled along by her hand, and it felt chaotic. Isn't this just waiting for her to tell me something? Summer excitedly said, because you look just like the person I like. Vung Trong sensed something was off. He tried to respond casually. Well, that's quite an honor for me. Now, Summer the captain wanted to know more about the Celestial Academy. We can take you there. Suddenly, she slammed her hand against the wall, leaning in close to him, bluntly revealing his identity. You're just a mere powerful king. Vung Trong's expression changed instantly. She's overestimating me. You could just ask Sister Milano about my background, and you'd know right away. She looked at Vung Trong with a scrutinizing gaze. Really? Summer opened her phone and called, Sister Biao, please send me Vung Trong's background. After a while, he sighed and asked, so, do you believe it now? Summer looked at the background she just received, confused, and said, in theory, it's all good grades, but how come the practical skills are so terrible? Suddenly, she noticed something unusual. But having escaped from the mutated lair with a level 5 beast mastery in archery and being able to use the continuous arrows, your skills aren't bad at all. Summer turned to him and asked, in terms of range, do you think archery or artillery is more powerful? Vung Trong seriously thought for a moment. If I really had to choose, I think using a bow would be better. She immediately felt intrigued and wanted to delve deeper into this topic. Do you think so too? Actually, with the ability for long-range combat archery is indeed the most suitable. But right now, everyone still refuses to understand that. By the way, is there an archery training school around here? Let's go there and have a little competition. Not long after that, The two of them appeared at the training field. Summer drew the bowstring tightly and suddenly released it. In the quiet space, the only sound was the whoosh of arrows slicing through the air. Each target. All was hit perfectly in the center. The announcement rang out. That's enough. It really isn't easy to determine a winner. Summer stretched and seriously commented. Clearly, I intentionally slowed down, yet you weren't affected at all. Your soul power isn't strong, but your control over it is truly impressive. Vung Trong smiled modestly and replied, This is just a skill I've honed over time. When it comes to real strength, your fire aspect is the most pure. Your abilities are completely different from ordinary fire aspects. In terms of defense, external abilities and just regular attacks are all incredibly strong. Summer shot him a teasing glance and said, I think I heard some rather intense words. The essence of fire. Why use such terms? Aren't those the kinds of words the elders of the clan often use? In this academy, very few people know about it. It's really quite rare. Vung Trong awkwardly tried to cover it up. I have a good theory, though. So she continued to challenge him. Her hand suddenly burst into flames as she leaned closer to him and softly said, All right, talented student, take a look at what secrets my fire aspect holds. Look at my fire face. Is there something mysterious about it? Outside the window, two figures are hiding behind the bushes, quietly observing the situation inside the training ground. Mario on the tree mutters, So you've already gotten your hands dirty, huh? Why hasn't the vice captain been chased away? Has our captain taken the wrong medicine or something? Ma Dong, sitting next to him, chimes in. Mario, I really empathize with your situation. Inside, Wang Zhong feels the power of the flames. Then he shares his thoughts. I feel that in the fire flame, your soul power contains a very strong, explosive nature. This could explain why your strength has been shaken so many times. You suggested that the warrior could achieve such an effect through multiple high-frequency impacts. Actually, a supernatural ability user could do it too. But the method lies in the internal attributes of the soul power and the way it is transported. Your conditions are perfectly suited for it. We should really give it a try. Just a few brief sentences like that. With a look as if she has grasped the truth, she laughed with a refreshing tone. Yes, this is it. Her eyes lit up, realizing that just a single word could awaken the dreamer. Thank you, Wang Zhong. Then we can start trying the skill dominating the world of that guy. La okay. Hearing this, you looked surprised, mumbling the words dominating the world. After a while, Summer said her goodbyes before leaving. Thank you all so much this time. I had a great time. If you have time, come visit the Fire Flame City. Everyone in the academy nodded eagerly. Sure, definitely. She mischievously winked. Wang Zhong, make sure to contact me then. We already have each other's contact information. Wang Zhong smiled slightly. Got it, Miss Zammo. Mario's panicked voice rang out. Captain, are you okay? Are you sick or something? Ma Dong chimed in. You guys are developing way too fast. Zammo replied irritably. Shut up, Mario. I could roast you right now. He grumbled. Time was up and the two had to finish their goodbyes. All right, let's set off. Hope you guys can achieve the best results in the Dragon War. Everyone politely said their farewells. Safe travels. Wang Zhong frowned slightly, thinking to himself, speaking of the Dragon War, the video that Zammo showed me that day. He recalled the scene where the two watched a clip of a battle together. Wang Zhong clasped his hands together, his eyes filled with contemplation as the soul beast descended from a high-dimensional space. Impressive. Zammo was surprised. In just a moment, you've seen through everything. You're really not the type to be like that old man, the powerful king, are you? You stared at the video, slightly furrowing your brows. That move is really hard to guard against. If I were to encounter it. At the same time, at the Kappa Academy, Lola was still practicing tirelessly. Just then, someone rushed in to report, Miss Lola Oop has sent a challenge to us. She paused for a moment and asked, a challenge. Who is the opponent and which unit are they from? And On loudly mentions that the opponent is the only strong King Baokoi. Upon hearing this, her eyes immediately spark with interest. Just the strong king. So what should we do then? Anolia pats Anod on the shoulder and whispers a few words to him. If the captain agrees to this, it would be very beneficial for us. Anod asks back, so how should we say it? Anolia adds, think about it. The captain just finished training his strength. If the only strong king is defeated by her own hands, then later on curiosity about him will fade away. At that point, we can continue to compete fairly. His eyes immediately show a cunning glint. That makes a lot of sense. He adds, Captain, let's agree to this battle. He tries hard to persuade. The reputation of the only strong king right now is extremely prosperous. And On excitedly chimes in, if the captain can defeat him, then you will be the most deserving leader of the new class. Lola chuckles lightly, seeing the thoughts of the two. Don't think I don't know your schemes, but I'm actually preparing to agree. This is also a test for me. The next day, anyone passing by the battle room had to stop and wonder, why is the battle room so lively today? The crowd was pushing and shoving right at the door. Make way, I'm coming through. A kind person ran over to share some knowledge. I heard the only strong king is fighting Lola, but you have to submit your essay tomorrow. Why not head back and write it? Before he could finish, someone who was curious jumped into the crowd shouting, the great king is here. Who cares about essays anymore? A sweet female MC's voice rang out in the arena. In today's century battle, I will be your commentator. Ngunyi smiled warmly. Hello everyone, I'm Tran Ngunyi. The first fighter stepping onto the stage is the proud Red Shoe. Lola, dressed in a stylish battle outfit, confidently walks in amidst the enthusiastic introduction. The captain of the Beast Frenzy team, Lola. She still uses a small shield. Is this because she's afraid of the strong king's power? Ngunyi quickly introduces the next fighter, and the one everyone has been waiting for steps into the arena, the only strong king. Vung Trong furrows his brow, thinking to himself, in the end, I still have to face her. Should I say this is good luck? Mario unexpectedly appears right on the arena floor, calling out loudly, Captain Summer, go for it! He cheers on the strong king in the arena. Lola coldly laughs and says a few words, her eyes full of determination. It's truly not easy to meet an opponent skilled in ancient martial arts. So today, let's give it our all. Let's have a match. You're so honest, just like Miss Lola here, who is really looking forward to your guidance. The information about the match appears all at once on the screen, unarmed combat in the arena. Then the signal to start rings out, and that's when the two of them rush towards each other, immediately unleashing dramatic moves. Ngunyi quickly chimes in. Keeping up with the tense rhythm, it's really intense. They're already battling at lightning speed right from the start. Only the strong prince and the fierce goddess will not let their opponent off easily. Lola lands a punch to the side, but it gets blocked, so she throws another punch. Creating just enough distance between them, Lola furrows her brow, realizing her strikes can only barely hold him back. What? She gathers her strength to continue testing the results of her training. Let's see if I can add another fiery move. The female MC's voice rings out excitedly. Lola has used her special ability. That's the legendary move, the Fiery Wave Punch from the royal side. You're continuously analyzing the technique. This move can be considered a perfect combination with the Fiery Wave Lotus of Emmy Anolia, who stands below in the audience. Enthusiastically cheering for the captain. Take him down. Don't waste the results of our hard training. The two opposing forces collide in an instant. Ngunyi's eyes widen in amazement as she starts narrating. In the blink of an eye, when Lola's Fiery Wave Punch makes contact with the palm of the prince, all the energy dissipates completely and the prince counterattacks. Not forgetting to analyze the technique, this attack using soul power at a high frequency. In fact, you just need to use a defensive soul power to counter it. But you stop just a small distance away from Lola. It's a technique that will need to be used while crafting the talisman. She steps back, whispering, "Thank you for explaining that to me. It seems you're still a level above me." Then Lola reminds you, next we need to summon the spirit beast. You should take care of yourself. Just a reminder before I thank you for letting me have a move earlier. The audience below, upon hearing this, immediately becomes excited. The fierce prince dominates the world. The prince furrows his brow, assessing the sudden burst of high energy. Can I dodge this? Meanwhile, Lola is thinking to herself, his weakness is... Then she shouts loudly, "Go Fiery Wave Fury!" A fireball instantly appears behind the prince and the arena explodes. Waves of energy roll and burst outwards. The audience cheers. Incredible, the fierce prince might not make it. Ngunyi notices something strange. Quickly speaking up, the strong prince is still on the field and is still facing the Fiery Wave Fury. She looks astonished, and the audience below is equally surprised. How can this be? Your reflexes are lightning fast, easily dodging each incoming attack. Lola is still in shock, wondering what this technique is. And you've moved behind her without her noticing. The prince raises his hand towards Lola and speaks. This move still reveals a weakness. It can't be used at too close a distance. Therefore, it gave me the chance to dodge the attack and get closer to you. She sighs. But that eerie rhythm isn't something just anyone can use. It's really just you. I've already lost. You immediately declared a total annihilation. Lola's ultimate move still couldn't stop the continuous victories of the king. She boldly shouted, the winner is only the powerful king, Anolia and Anoder. Below were the most sorrowful spectators crying out in distress. No way, Wang Zhong chuckled softly. Devil's move, how did you remember the clown Simba? He asked. So, little Wang Zhong, can you catch me? Then you couldn't help but exclaim a few words. Actually, that was Simba. When I was young, he always teased me with this move. And after my soul power surpassed 70, I could barely use a bit of it. In a room where no one noticed, there were those who remained hidden, but always monitored every move in the outside world. At this moment, Wang Zhong's image appeared on the crystal ball. Someone spoke up, their tone inquisitive. I heard the young lady of the Potter family also fell to him. That kid's recent performance has been pretty good, hasn't it? Is it a secret weapon trained by some family? Is it a secret weapon trained by some clan? If you're not one of the 10 wealthy families, then who could you be? In another space, Ma Dong shouted out again. Last time, you personally agreed with me that you wouldn't play that thing in the room anymore. He gritted his teeth, glaring at the item in Wang Zhong's hand, starting to mess with that 10 cycle again. If this room gets messed up again this time, you'll have to pay for the damages yourself. Wang Zhong felt a bit uneasy. He quickly swore to calm the situation. Don't worry, I've been studying it closely lately. I'll definitely be able to control it. He called over more friends. If you don't believe me, everyone is here. How about we give it a try? Who wants to try the 10 cycle with me? Emily, who loves these kinds of games, immediately raised her hand. I'll try it with you, brother Wang Zhong. Unexpectedly, Christy also wanted to join in, Senior Wang. Should we join in too? Lily laughed. No way. Christy really lives up to her reputation as the top student in our school. Kelly seemed a bit hesitant. Wang Zhong, you're not thinking of going head-to-head with Emmy, are you? He turned around and suggested, how about we also have Sister Lily and Senior Kelly join in? I just got used to this weapon. Christy tilted her head, still wearing her signature smile. Looks like Senior Wang is very confident. Then we'll gladly follow your lead. Let's go. Lily immediately drew her sword, having said that. The guy also had a knife ready in his hand, Wang Zhong. Take care of yourself. Wang Zhong confidently replied, don't worry, I know my limits. You all might be the ones who need to be careful. As soon as he finished speaking, he immediately activated the weapon in his hand. The 10 rotating blades launched from his hand, aimed straight at Lily as he shouted. She was still in shock when the 10 blades shattered the sword in her hand. Seeing this, Kelly rushed forward to shield Lily, shouting, let me take the hit! She quickly reacted, coordinating carefully from behind. Kelly turned her head, gritting her teeth as she spun back around. The knife in his hand shattered into pieces, sending Kelly stumbling backward. The 10 blades made a circle and returned to him as he continued to swing his hand for the second strike. This time it was aimed at Emily. She quickly took a defensive stance. The clashing of metal echoed throughout the training room, and the spectators witnessed the entire battle. Astonished, they exclaimed, this weapon is incredibly powerful. Each clash absorbs the impact force and converts it into energy for the next attack. Vung Trung still stood firm, but the other 3 were sitting on the floor, surrounded by the shattered pieces of weapons. Christie's sword, though bent and battered, was still intact, yet it was still in one piece. He sighed. No wonder Vung Trung is a scholar. He has researched the 10 rotating blades to such a high level. At that moment, Scarlet and Milano rushed over. She anxiously called out, is everyone okay? I just heard some loud noises coming from here. After understanding the situation, she brightened up, realizing what had happened. I didn't expect Vung Trong's practical abilities to be this strong already. In terms of theory, he's always at the top of the academy. I propose we let him take on the role of captain of our celestial team. What does everyone think? Milano looked at everyone with a satisfied expression. Scarlet said, If you think so, then I have no objections. Hai Mian, standing behind, didn't forget to give a thumbs up. I agree too, Vung Trong. Lily added, albeit a bit awkwardly since she had just been through a rough time. I don't know if everyone is convinced, but I am already. Kelly nodded in agreement. Exactly, I agree too. Suddenly, everyone rushed forward, hugging Vung Trong. Baron cried out, Senior, we will always believe in you. Ma Dong smiled brightly. Vung Trong is the best. Emily leaped towards him, shouting, Here comes the new captain! That night, as Vung Trong lay down on his bed, fatigue spread throughout his body. He sighed softly, realizing that the energy consumed while using the 10 rotating blades was no small matter. I need to go to bed early tonight. As soon as he said that, his eyes began to droop. He quickly fell into a deep sleep. Vung Trong suddenly woke up in a dim space, feeling uncomfortable as he muttered, Is it because I'm too exhausted? And my soul is being dragged to a high-dimensional space now. The clown Simba signaled him to be quiet. This time, Simba probably didn't want to get into trouble. Suddenly, a gigantic foot stomped down hard on the ground, causing a slight tremor. The monster, 10 times larger than a normal person, was trudging through the space. Vung Trong hid behind a tree, murmuring, It's too quiet. That big guy probably hasn't noticed us yet. First, we need to hold our breath. He and Simba whispered softly, then moved quietly. But they hadn't gone far when a massive rock suddenly landed right in front of them. The stone, engraved with ancient patterns, emitted a strange blue light. Amidst that light, the silhouette of someone appeared. His head was completely bald, so shiny that it reflected the blue light. He stepped out from the stone, astonished, exclaiming, So there are people here! He then looked up, still not aware of the situation, while Vung Trong and Simba turned to look back. A giant shadow fell over the three of them. The monster detected the sound and immediately attacked its target. The bald guy ran away in panic, shouting loudly, Sorry for the trouble. I can't stand being killed by you anymore. He let out another scream to vent his anger. That annoying guy, we shouldn't have been discovered. Now there's no breath left to run. We escaped the danger. The bald guy started to ask questions. Are you from the Federation? I see you have a soul that transcends borders, but it's quite rare. Plus, you brought along such an interesting pet. Simba immediately got angry. You dare call me a pet? The bald guy calmly explained, I'm not bald, I just shave my head. He yelled, I don't care about being bald. Wang Zhong then spoke up to mediate. Hello, I'm Wang Zhong. Yes, I'm from the Federation. How should I address you now? The bald guy politely introduced himself. You can call me Mach 2. I'm from the Cam Cultivation Empire. It's really rare to see someone from the Federation around here. There are many people who take advantage of the Soul Gate to come to this place. Hearing this, Wang Zhong couldn't help but sigh. It's because the soul has tightly bound their fates. He was about the same age as Mach 2, but he could manage on his own. Mach 2 asked a few more questions. I've heard that life in the Federation is very peaceful and there's no need to fight for power. Is that true? He answered honestly, yes, that's right. Normally in the city, such things rarely happen. Mach 2 excitedly asked, So have you ever had a premium drink called cola? Wang Zhong sincerely replied, That's very common where we live. Mach 2 exclaimed, That's great. In our kingdom, only nobles can afford to drink that. Suddenly, the light from the stone behind Mach 2 changed. He immediately noticed it. Looks like I've jumped to a different latitude. Suddenly, the light from the stone behind Muzi changed, and he immediately noticed. Muzi could only regretfully say, Looks like I've jumped to a new level this time.